Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is the Southwest Florida TechNet. My name's Ian, KO4EFS, and I'm here with my regular crew and my co-host, Joseph, KM4OVZ, and Rick and Dave. And my goodness, there's a bunch of people in tonight. Who do we got tonight so far? We got Rick, Dallas, Jason, Jonathan, and of course, I mentioned Joseph and Chris. So there's a lot of us in here tonight to help you answer your questions. For those of you on YouTube, thank you for joining us. We're going to go for 2 or 3 hours tonight. Tonight's topic, I think, is really a cool one. Here, let me go ahead and
Dallas has a sidekick.
my camp. Do what?
Dallas has a sidekick.
Oh, does he?
Yes. Woo!
There's Jenny.
Oh, there you go.
You know,
Like a little puppy dog.
Oh, there you go. I love animals. Boy, I'm an animal guy.
dogs rule.
All right. Well, tonight we're going to be talking about a bunch of different things. But to start off tonight, Joseph is going to talk to us about repeaters. He is in the midst of putting together a repeater for the area that he's in up there in northern Alabama. And he's been doing a lot of research and study on it. And he's about halfway through the process of actually putting one up. And so we thought we would go through this. There's a lot to know about this. And I know some others of you have gone through the process of getting frequencies allocated, the process of renting space or finding space, the process of paying the electric bill, putting up the equipment and everything. There's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. And so we're going to be talking about all of that tonight. And then after that, we're going to go to the tropics. There's a lot going on in the tropics. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to go through all the different models. Danielle's not a concern, and I really don't think the other two are a concern for us.
Yeah.
But there's some interesting things about that one that's right near the Windward Islands there. And we're going to talk about that in just a little while. So that'll be coming up after that. And after that, there's a lot of people. I've had some people recently tell me that their IP address is blocking them from websites. And so I'm going to show you guys a little trick tonight. I'm sure a lot of you guys have already probably used a virtual private network, but I'm going to show you guys just how to turn it on. It's really simple. It does drag your computer down, takes a long time, but it gives you private browsing, and it also gets you around any IP or MAC blocks that would be there. And so we'll talk about that towards the end of the night. So that's kind of what we have on the slate. There's a few other things. We're gonna deep dive dung beetles later, so we'll talk about that. For those of you who got the email, yeah, it's a fun story. I thought it was really cool. Dung beetles have actually been discovered to use the Milky Way as their navigational thing. And so what's really cool about it is they literally can see the stripe in the sky, and that's how they know what they're doing or whatever. But here's the problem. The closer you get to a city, the more the dung beetles can't see that anymore. And it's causing some issues. It's just a fun thing. You know, it's
They must be having a real problem in San Francisco.
yeah, I can imagine. I don't think we have a real dung beetle problem down here, but anyway. And the other thing I wanted to report, and I want to make sure you guys can hear okay, is I got my soundboard working. I downloaded all of my sound effects from work, and I've got them all loaded in there. So what the hell?
Yeah.
I'm so sick of batteries going dead. Anyway, so I've got it all stuck in here, and I thought, you know, what the hell, tonight I'm going to try to use some of these and make sure you guys can hear them. So here I have to dial up. Hold on. Oh, good. 1200 baud. Can you guys
It's not
hear that?
coming through. It's not coming through.
I figured as much, because it's going to be a pain in my ass no matter what. I'm sharing computer audio, and I'm showing it going through.
Is it playing from your computer? It's probably your Zoom is probably listening to your desktop audio, and you probably have that playing through an external speaker, so it's not going to pick it up.
See, before the show, I played this and I could see my microphone bumping up and down when it was playing. I don't see that anymore.
Well, you know
So,
Murphy's Law, when you try to show somebody something, that's when it won't work.
oh, I know. Tell me about it.
Like the doctor.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, I'm going to try to do this and see if that does anything. You guys still can't hear it? No. Okay. So let's, I'm going through my audio settings here and trying to figure out why, but obviously it's just not going to work.
Does Zoom not have an option for desktop audio device? I guess it doesn't.
It
Yeah,
does.
doesn't-
It's on, but it doesn't give you it doesn't let you select which one.
Hmm. Change your sound pad to your button board to output on like the default device. Like whatever device would play out of if you're using a YouTube video or something.
Okay, let's try that. Nope, it's still not working. Just amazing. I'll never understand why Bill Gates in his infinite wisdom had to make this so GD complicated.
That's why I love Linux.
Yeah.
You open Pulse Audio volume control and you can pipe sound from any
Bill Gates has infinite wisdom.
device.
Like
No, actually he doesn't, but
We just lost your audio, Joseph.
infinite non-wisdom. Joseph, you're muted or something.
No, he's not muted. We just lost his audio. There we go. No,
all right, I know what we could try here. Let's try something else. Let's try
your headphones charged.
all right, let's try that. Can you hear me now?
I hear you
Yes.
fine.
Okay, so I've got cable A patched in here. So now what I'm going to do is go over here and I'm going to shove this into cable A. It's a virtual cable, so you got to push really hard.
Be careful. I might have to send you my can of deoxin.
Now, can you guys hear that?
Yep.
I hear a tuba.
Yeah, you guys can hear it. Now I can't hear it. Oh, well, I guess
Nope.
I'm about to live with that.
Yes, you can.
There you are.
Tuba.
I don't know what happened. That was weird.
Crazy college roommate that played the tuba.
Oh, that's my favorite sound of all time. The sad tuba from that's from Price is Right. And the reason you guys didn't recognize it maybe is because normally you would hear it like this. Oh, I'm so sorry. Doesn't it
Now
sound
we-
better?
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, all right, I got this working. I think I can't hear it, but I know what they all say. It's important to have the button bar because sound cues are so important when you do shows. It's like when somebody says something really important, like Joseph will say something like, you know, make sure you wipe when you're done going to the bathroom. The more you know. You know, things like that. And like a funny joke, you know, you got to have the rim shot in there. Maybe a legal question, law and order, of course, you know. So anyway, I've got my buttons now. I feel much better. And there you go. And also now when we have breaking news, this is breaking news. Doesn't that sound much better? Come on, that
The
sounds
volume
much
is too
better,
low.
right?
You need
gotta
to,
have-
you need to pump it
All
up.
right. I
It's
can't
too
hear
low.
you guys. I'm completely deaf here now. So that's
Oh,
just great.
We need to
I
fix it.
can't hear anything. So
Ian is a poo-poo face.
it still shows that it's on Scarlet. Scarlet's on, and
Hmm.
I hear nothing. Quit doing that. Ah,
That's good. Woo.
You can't say that on the air.
no matter what I put it on, I can't hear you guys. I've put it on every one of my audio sources and I don't hear anybody.
That's because we're not
I
talking.
put it on all three of my sound cards.
Oh my goodness.
Check,
You
check.
know what we're gonna have to do?
Oh,
We're
well.
gonna have to sign off.
Just go dark.
Yeah, we all
May have
ought,
to switch computers
well,
here,
he
I
can't
guess.
hear us. We all ought to carry on like we're having a conversation without him. But don't actually be
Just gonna
saying
all have
anything.
to have sign language, I guess.
I don't know. Wow, that was weird.
What?
I just keep hearing like a high pitched beeping sound.
It's CW.
It's QCW.
Can you hear us now then?
It's whistling
can hear-
QCW.
Through one of my TVs.
Okay.
Headphones, I can't hear you anymore.
Oh no. How about we all get on our ham radios and we transmit our responses and Ian can listen on 40 meters.
That sounds, at least I know it would work.
How about the old 3-finger salute?
Well,
Or
on
just
this.
use a 740. No. Not a 743, it's a 357. There you go. I hate being dyslexic.
Dyslexics are teeple poo.
All right, Joseph, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, why don't you go ahead and let's start the repeater portion. And then that'll give me a chance to reset here on this end.
Okay.
I'm still here, but that way I can reset things here.
Okay. Seems like you got some storm moving in. All right.
I don't think so. No.
Let me share the window I want to share.
And of course, you can talk about anything else you want to too. I don't really care. But I'll be here in the background.
Okay. Can y'all see the web page here?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Page.
Okay. So I'm actually going through the process right now of putting up an actual like ham radio repeater on 2 meters on a real cell tower. Putting it up on your own land is easier if you have your own stuff because you don't have to really do anything except for the physical work to put it up. But when you're using someone else's facilities, there's more that you have to do. So I'm going to kind of walk through the process that I use to find the site that we're trying to get and talk about some of the different things that not many people know about because you can't look this information up. There's the Repeater Builder website. They have a couple sample contracts from different cell tower providers that, tell you like all the rules you'll have to abide by if you're putting up a site on a public cell tower. But that only covers, the inside of the building. It tells you how big your box can be and what kind of cables you can use and how you have to label everything. That's all it really covers. It doesn't really cover how much stuff is going to cost, what you actually have to buy. So I'm going to try and compile everything together here because I've learned a lot in the past couple of weeks about what it takes to get a tower up. So the first step is going to be finding a site that you want. And you really have to do this first before you can do anything else because you can't just look up cell tower leasing or radio tower for rent. I mean, they don't really make dictionaries or websites to look up this kind of stuff. So it can be really hard to find out who owns a tower and if they're open to leasing it to you. So I found this website. It's called Antenna Search. Oh, what did I just click? It's called Antenna Search. And you enter your location. You can do address, including city or state. So if I do, the tower site we want to use is up on a mountain called Brindley Mountain, and it has a really good coverage area. It's in a really good spot. It's relatively tall. I think the total height would be about 1,400 feet above sea level would be how high it is. So it's a pretty good site. So the way I found it was I entered in a address near it. Now I found out about this cell tower from actually seeing it with my eyes when I was on the mountain. I saw a tower there and I was like, hey, I wonder what's up with that. So I entered this address in, which is close to the tower. It's not the tower's exact address. Oh, wait, I forgot that didn't work. I actually entered in coordinates from Google Maps. So if we go to, open up a new tab here. If we go on Google Maps and we zoom out, this is the North Alabama area. Let me go to satellite view here. Here's Huntsville and all the surrounding areas. The cell tower site I'm looking at is on Brindley Mountain, which is, let's see, Huntsville here. So we go down 231, down not quite to here. Hang on a second. Okay, here we go. We got to zoom in right here. Okay, you can see it on the map. There's the square. You can see the little triangle from the top. You can see the guy wires. So that's the overhead view. So what I just did was I copied the coordinates. You can just right click, copy, and go over to antenna search and paste them in. So when I pasted them in, it gives you all the towers in a certain radius. So here's 231. And if we zoom in, this map is not a normal map. You actually have to click the plus button over here. You can see here's the road that it's really close to. And there's a blue dot here for the actual tower. And when you click it, it highlights the tower you click. So if I click like this one down here, it's owned by Nextel or Sprint. Click this red one over here, Deltacom Communications. It tells you who owns it. This one's owned by American Tower Corporation. So if we click this one right here, it's owned by Pinnacle Towers Acquisition. So if we click that to get more information, it loads up the satellite view, and there you can see another view of the tower. There's the road that it's on. There's the street, and there's a little blue dot there. And now we can see who owns it. So it's owned by Crown Castle, which is a cell tower provider. Here's contact info for the guy who is like the most close to that tower, I suppose. And then you can also come over here and see ownership info, Pinnacle Towers Acquisition, and then their number. That gives you all their info for calling the main company and not just individual. Here's your FCC registration number. That's pretty important because when you call up the owners, they're going to say, oh, what tower is it? Because often these companies own, 20,000 towers across America, and they don't know what tower it is. So you give them this number and they can look it up. It also has longitude, latitude, tells you the date it was put up, the ground elevation, the actual height, and the overall height, and the actual address of the tower itself, as well as a log here with all the different information pertaining to it. So now that we know the tower, you may say, okay, let's go to their website. Well, you go to their website and this is what you get. And this is what you get for pretty much all of the tower provider companies. It's not really specific. It's like, oh, Life connects us, what possibilities? And it's pretty much, a lot of them, just the website only exists for hiring people to work for them. I've noticed this with a lot of the websites. It's all about careers and getting into the tower climbing business or whatever. It's not really geared towards consumers trying to, get information on it. So you can scroll through all this stuff. This is not helpful for someone trying to actually rent the space. So you can contact us, you can get this, you can go through their email thing. What I just did was I called the number on here and spoke to Don himself and told him what I wanted to do. And then he put me through to the sales guy. And I talked to the sales guy and we discussed what that tower was. And that tower is actually got nobody else on it right now. So I would be the only customer. And that will be important because getting a site on a crowded tower, so that the prices for it's basically like leasing an apartment or a house or something. You're leasing space on the tower and they're going to charge you a certain amount of money based on the demand. So because this tower is completely empty, nobody else on it, it's just sitting there, they are very likely to give you a good deal, good monthly rate on the tower site. For a ham tower like this, I've been told the price shouldn't be above $300 a month. $300 a month would be like the really high, and that you shouldn't pay more than that. They also on the phone told me they get a lot of people trying to undercut them and not undercut, but not really want to pay anything for it. So if you tell them, oh yeah, I want to give you $20 a month, they might just completely ignore you. So for a site like this, you're going to expect to pay at least probably 100, 150 a month, which for what it is and its location, I think is pretty reasonable. Like I said, there's nobody else on this site. So you can kind of use that as leverage when talking to them and say, hey, would you guys rather have nobody there at all or somebody who's at least paying something? So if they try and tell you, because they gave me the whole role, oh, well, we are always signing deals with big cell companies for millions of dollars and everything. And, they told me all that. And I was like, yeah, I understand. But that place is sitting there empty. So if you can get a situation like that, it's the best. But if you're going somewhere else and there's another site, they're probably going to charge a little bit more, especially if it's, at the very top of a mountain and it's like the highest antenna and there's a lot of demand, you'll probably have to pay a bit more. If you're a club doing it, that's no problem. If you're an individual, it can be a lot more difficult. And I'm doing this as an individual. So you don't have the whole nonprofit LLC. You don't have the any real official name for yourself. Because when you call them on the phone and you tell them I want a spot, they first thing they ask you is, okay, and what business is this? They always ask you what your company is called. And you have to tell them, no, I'm an individual. So the fact that it's empty, the fact that no one is there, and I reassured them that I was not trying to get this space for $10 a month. They have actually put me through to somebody. So that's an important aspect of this for doing ham radio, because these people, like I said, they deal with big money, high dollar projects all the time. Because like the guy asked me, he's like, are you looking to set up your own cellular network? Like that's the scale that these people operate on. So when you come in with your little walkie-talkie system, they're like, oh, what is this little thing? We don't care about this. So you have to word what you say carefully. I didn't even tell them that it was amateur radio. You don't even need to tell them that it's ham radio up until the last possible minute. You can tell them your antenna. You can tell them the frequency you'll be on, tell them, oh, it's VHF, between this area and this area. You can tell them what hardware you're going to use. But if you can avoid saying amateur radio, it might help you your case a little bit more, because they're not going to, hams don't have the best reputation for spending a lot of money. So these people who run these sites and they're the sales guys, they know that because they've been in the business.
We're
a while,
cheap.
so.
Just say it. We're cheap.
Yeah, cheap.
Cheap.
So just keep that in mind. Word what you say carefully. Know the situation beforehand so you can leverage it if you need to and say, well, you guys aren't making any money. So there's that. There's your tower site. That's the one we're going to use. And that's what I'm using as the example for everything else. So like I said, you can go to their website. It's usually not very helpful. You want to call the number that's actually listed here. And sometimes physically at the tower site, they'll have this number posted as well. So you can call that number. The next thing I did before I went any further was I used the Radio Mobile Online coverage map tool that we actually was displayed in a previous TechNet. And the guy who did it did a pretty good job telling us how to do it. I forget his name. I think it was either Chris or Rick. I can't remember who exactly did the presentation, but he did a good job. So I came in here. I went to new site.
It was Dallas.
Was it Dallas? Yeah, I think it was Dallas actually. Came in here, I clicked new site, and I dragged the little marker. I found where I wanted to place it on the map, Then I went to my sites. So I have it here. I have it Hamner Tower because that's the name of the road that it's at. I put in the elevation, coordinates. That's all you really need. Coordinate menu. Then I went to new coverage. Click the button. Did nothing happen? Why did nothing happen? New coverage. All right, that's not working. I don't know why. Can I go to my coverages? View this coverage. What? Is it broken? Nothing happens when I click it. It was working earlier. Oh, now I can't click my coverage. All the buttons are broke. Oh, wait, no, that button works. What happened? Oh, come on. I was trying to demonstrate.
When I have trouble with websites, sometimes what you got to do is clear your website history, clear your browser history. And
oh, there it goes.
Ah.
I think I just had to.
Want to hear something messed up, dude? That same thing happens to me all the time.
Yeah, that's what I've seen a number of times. Clear the
Um,
website history. There's some crap in the website history which keeps that from working.
I don't know. We're going to talk about that here soon. Ian's got some tips on that. But I went to new coverage. I just put in the info. My antenna is 8.1 dB gain. The antenna is 55 meters above the ground. That's about where it would be. Mobile antenna. So this is your receiving antenna. We already know about that. Usually these have a gain of about 6 dB and not 2. You can just type in your description, your frequency, TX power. I usually like to set this to like 1500 watts or, whatever I want to do. By default, it's set to 20. And then you have all your loss of your feed line, everything. And you come down here and set what your signal margins and everything are. And when you generate it, please work. Okay, so I generated this coverage map. Now, this may be a bit exaggerated, only a little bit though, because that site is the same, only like there's our antenna, and like right over here where my cursor is, there is another tower that is broadcasting a very powerful FM broadcast signal. And I know from experience how well it gets out. It gets out all over. So this, I believe, was with 350 watts output with an 8.1 dB antenna, and that's at 1,400 feet on a mountain that overlooks the Huntsville area. So, I mean, it is a very good location, but this tool really confirmed, you can do your line of sight calculations, you can do all that, but without the topography calculation, you really don't know truly how it's going to work. Like there's mountains over here, lines of mountains, and you can see that it really breaks up the signal. In some areas, you don't get any reception at all. So this came in really handy because I was able to see how well it would work with high output power and a mobile antenna. That's a pretty good footprint. That is a huge footprint. And I know for a fact that these other repeaters that are on Monte Sano, which are located like right around here, I don't know what's wrong with them or what's different, but their signal does not get out, not even barely to like Decatur or Athens on the map here. They stop working like right around in between Athens and Rogersville, and that's with a mobile antenna. So I don't know. Hopefully my system would be different. I don't know. I'm going to crank up the power pretty high on that thing and make sure everything is maxed out. But something ain't right with their systems over here, because this calculation shows that it should be going a lot further than it is. So calculation could be off a little bit, but I think that it's something up with their systems. They have weird problems with signal too. Like you'll be transmitting and they'll just like drop out if you're even, I don't know what's up with their system. So
Well, you got that range of mountains like between Huntsville and Atlanta, and they're pretty steep.
yeah, over
That's
here there
tough.
is.
Yeah, but I'm talking about east too.
Over this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See the
Well, there's no
ridge there?
mountains. There's no mountains like over here. Like this whole area in the solid green is there's no mountains. As
No
you go
mountain.
lower, you start getting more hills.
Yeah.
But everything around here, I wonder if this signal would reach Ian's cabin. I don't know exactly where his is, but it's around here somewhere, and that's what the
Yeah.
coverage looks like. You may be able to get it. I mean,
Well,
the
yeah, I
mountain,
mean, it looks like it goes all the way to Atlanta.
it almost does.
Yeah.
Let's see, where's Atlanta?
I mean, I'm directly north
There's
of
Atlanta.
Atlanta.
You're just about over there.
Right
Yep,
here.
there it is.
Yep.
That's Atlanta right there.
Do you see where? Yeah, I can see Dahlonega up there, but we're 2 hours north of Atlanta, which actually might be better depending on
Yeah,
where
go
we're
up
at.
400 to Dahlonega.
Yeah, keep on going.
So you're like,
Yeah, see
There it
Dahlonega
is.
right there.
Right
Yeah.
there.
Just go
That's
right
it.
on. See, go straight north from there, and that crossroad right there is in downtown Blairsville. That next one up, right there, where those 4 roads come together.
this
Keep
one
going
here,
up. Yeah,
that one
I'm
there.
just north of that.
Okay, so if you're just
No,
north of
going
that,
north of there. Yeah, I'm
I
right
don't
in
know
that
that-
area right there.
so the mountain, if your
And the reason it
backside,
looks like that is some really rugged mountains right there.
Yeah.
oh
There's
yeah,
no
it's,
way
it's
it'll get through all that.
cause some problems. Well, I don't know if you have a good
I mean,
enough
it's one of those
antenna.
things where I could go to the top of a mountain. I know I could get to.
I just don't think that you're gonna be able to get from Huntsville to Atlanta, despite that thing, but who knows?
I
And
tend
2
to
meters
think
is
this.
really,
In Atlanta, I doubt it.
every
I
2
can
meter
imagine
pair in
the EMs
Atlanta
dome
is
around
used.
Atlanta.
Oh yeah, you got to worry about that.
Oh, I can imagine.
Well, I don't know. This may be greatly exaggerated. I hope it's not, because this is pretty impressive, and I put in all the details correctly. So
So
I'm gonna tell you, if that's
let's
what it
go back
does,
to
I'm
the
impressed.
details. Go back to your list of details and let me see what you put in for height.
Oh, my sites. Okay, yeah. So we are up at 381 meters for the elevation. Wait, is that right?
300, that's
That
pretty
explains it.
high. That's
That's
1,000
cute.
feet.
Yeah. So the base of the tower is at 1,200 feet, and then the antenna would be up another 200 feet. So
I
1,400
don't know
feet.
if it
The
calculates it
software
that way. I
calculates
think
the
it
above sea level
calculates it.
part. You're trying to tell the software that you're on a 381 foot tower.
No, it says
380
meters.
381 meter tower.
No, see, no, look. This says elevation in meters, and then when you
Yes.
go to do a new coverage, it asks you separately there the actual antenna height meters above ground. So that's where I put in 55 meters and arrive at a total height of whatever the total height is. But the site, you put in the ground height. So this is adding the ground height, which is 380 meters, plus the 55 meters. So that
So where
you
did
do them
you put in the
separately.
ground height that? Because I've never had to give it that. It's always calculated that from the topography part where it looks at the GPS data.
Well, I don't know why it asked me then. It says elevation in meters, 381 feet. That's not the antenna height because it asks you that when you
Calculated that.
do a new calculation.
'Cause it should be able to see what the ground height is, your ground altitude, which
Yeah.
is, whatever, that's gonna be known by your latitude and longitude.
That's what I would think. What is this? Oh. I don't know then. I think it adds it though. If we go to
I wouldn't
elevation.
trust that.
Well, hold on. If we add let me get my calculator. So if we do 381
Meters.
meters plus 55 meters,
That's
we get 436 meters. Now if we go
Yeah.
436 meters to feet, that adds up. That's the height right there. 1430.
Yeah,
So that adds up to the height of the tower listed over here in antenna search. 1437 overall height. That adds up. So that's correct. So this thing where in my coverages, that's with the correct altitude.
The question is, did it calculate that 300 and something meters, or did you have to tell it that? Because I've never had to tell it.
I had to put that in. If I say new site and I just put this somewhere, elevate, it asks me the elevation right here. Now it fills it in.
It's telling you the elevation.
it's
Correct.
filling it in.
So I didn't have to change that when I made it. It already had it filled in. So that
Right.
380
Okay.
meters.
That's what I was getting at. It
Okay.
it goes by the GPS coordinates that you gave it, and it goes to a topography map someplace. It gets that data someplace out of the
Picks up
internet.
that, yeah.
So that's what I was getting at. You
Okay.
didn't put in that number. It
No.
found that number.
Okay. Yeah. So then that height that it's calculating it from is accurate to what it would really be. So I mean, this looks pretty insane to me, given the performance of the other repeaters in the area, which are also on mountains. I mean, we have a repeater that's the ID comes on and it says 1,700 feet high. Like
Yeah.
it's at 1,700 feet, but it does not have anywhere close to this level of coverage. So
Yeah.
something is a little fishy, but at the
Yeah,
same
I think
time,
realistically, you're not going to either.
I that's what I'm thinking. But at the same time, I know where that broadcast antenna is, and they are running 100,000 watts. That's what their output is, and that's a lot more than 1,500 watts. Even with the max you can do with a repeater.
Yeah.
But even with all those watts, the signal would still. I would think it wouldn't be a whole lot different than. You can't use power to overcome the laws of physics. So the fact that site performs as well as it does, because I've been all the way out here to Florence and all the way out here to Scottsboro and further, actually past here. I've been out to where is it? I've been out to Section. Not exactly sure where on map. It's a pretty small area, but I've been over here before, and I've been down to Coleman as well. And I know that the signal from that that broadcast station covers those areas full signal, no problem whatsoever. So I'm thinking that location at that height, maybe these guys just aren't set up correctly. It's kind of doubtful because they seem to know what they're doing, but I don't know. That I feel like the sites that we have now should have a much better coverage than they do. Like even parked over here in Madison, with a mobile antenna on your roof, you will see the S meter flickering from the repeater. I mean, the repeater's like over here at that distance and at that height, you shouldn't be having that signal problems. I wouldn't think. There's no hills. So I don't know. We'll see what the actual performance is, but I do lean on believing this to some degree. I also did another coverage. I did handheld indoor. So I asked my buddy, what decibel signal, what signal strength do you need where the signal would be full scale on a small antenna inside a house? And he said you need 60 dB. So I put that into the green is where you have 60 dB and then yellow is below 60 dB. And this apparently is what it says the coverage would be with 350 watts output.
Yeah.
So if you're in a house in anywhere in the green and you have a handheld, you would have a full scale signal supposedly, or not full scale, but no noise. It wouldn't be a weak signal. And then if we bump it up to,
you're gonna find it hard to get 350 watts out of a repeater, even with an amplifier.
oh,
Is you'll end up with a 6 or an 8 can set of duplexers.
That's right.
It gets
Whatever it
really
takes.
expensive. It takes up a lot of room.
whatever it takes, we're going to get, and I did this calculation with 1500 watts. My goal is to get 1500 watts out of the system, like
You
to
can
the
do
antenna.
that. Well, what that's going to force you to do is split sites where you can have 1500 watt to transmit at one site and a receiver elsewhere. Not at that site.
I don't know.
You'd have to have a real expensive set of duplexers to handle that kind of power.
Well-
Usually what happens with the repeater will put out maybe 50, 100 watts, and then you develop your gain in the antenna.
Mm-hmm.
FM broadcast stations work this way too.
Yep.
They don't actually put out 100,000 watts. They may have a transmitter that does 20 or 25,000, and then the rest of your gain is made up in the antenna. And that's what you're going to do with this too.
Well, we're going to do whatever it takes to get the maximum possible output from this thing.
And
Whatever
another
duplexers-
limitation you're going to have here is you're going to run into getting the thing coordinated. You're going to have to deal with frequencies in Tennessee and in Georgia.
Well,
So-
we've already done that. There's nothing in Tennessee. We have nothing to worry about in Tennessee. And over here, there's nothing either. So we're going to be fine. We found a frequency. The main thing we have to worry about is in Huntsville, because that's where the mass collection of repeaters is.
Yeah.
And we found a frequency for that. Everywhere else is so sparsely populated. I mean, we've already checked it. There's nothing on our frequency. So
Yeah.
thankfully that I think is going to work out okay. But we're going to try and just push this thing to the max. I mean, whatever it takes to get 1500 watts out, we're going to
You
do.
got to remember, the higher you turn the power, the more descents you're going to have in your receiver.
Yep.
So that's the other side of that.
Yep. So we're going to have to figure out a balance that works the best, because I ain't
And I
happy with no 50 watts on my repeater. We got to.
And I can
put the
tell
hammer
you
down.
that duplexers are expensive now.
Oh yeah.
They're still getting reception from Voyager.
Yep.
And
Because they're out and there's nothing in between them.
yes, there's
Putting
nothing
out like
in between them, and it's way past Pluto, and it's like
yeah.
it's I think it's down to around 4 or 5 watts. Started at 7.
Yep.
Dude,
Line of
they're getting
sight.
old.
Line of
that's the
sight
ultimate
will-
QRP DX.
But it
Line
doesn't
of
seem
sight-
really good if you're doing 1500 watts and you're talking to a 50-watt mobile, and he's got 6, and actually most cars only have 3 dB a gain on a 5/8 wave antenna. So
Well,
you'll have an alligator, all mouth
Yeah.
and no ears.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's whatever.
And you're
I don't
also
care.
What kind of equipment are you considering getting? What kind
Well,
of
we're-
repeater you?
We're gonna go through that in a minute. We're going through that in a minute. So
Okay.
At the start, it's not going to be 1500 watts. It's going to be probably a lot less, but the end goal is to get something that's just ridiculously high power and maxed out everything. So anyway, this segment, I guess, is about showing this map and everything. This was just kind of to illustrate the tool here. The next step, once you have your site in mind and your coverage figured out, we are going to go to eBay. And because this repeater is going to start out being built on not so much of a budget, but just like, because it's an experimental thing and it's the first time we're doing it, we don't want to buy a big fancy system just yet. We're going to do everything we can to make it super powerful, but we're also trying to save money where we can. So there's a couple ways to do this. You can buy a repeater controller. And eBay is where we're going to do most of this. You can buy, sorry, not a repeater controller. I mean a repeater module. You can get whole repeater systems. Here you go, VHF repeater for $400, $420. Here's one here. This is an all-in-one system. So this has your transmitter and your receiver built in, as well as the controller built into the system. What we're going to be actually doing for ours is something sort of like this. Now, this is $795, but that's not what we're going to pay total. We're going to take 2 Motorola radios and we're going to link them together with a special cable and then plug in a repeater box. So we're going to look at Motorola. I think we were looking at CM300s is what we were looking at. So this is what's super cool. You can get, here we go, look at this. 2 CM300s for 130 bucks. As long as one transmits and one receives, we're good to go. These radios are being phased out of use. That's why you can get so many for super cheap. You could buy 2 of them or buy one of them for 65 bucks a piece. This is, I believe, a 45 or a 50 watt radio. There's a couple other similar models, which there's like the CM50, 150, CM100. There's a couple of different models, but I think CM300 is what we were looking at. So you pick up 2 of these little cheap radios and hopefully you get some that work. I mean, obviously, if the seller says they work, then they work. You don't even need mic cables. You don't need anything. You just need 2 matching radios. And see these types, this little plug here, this is an ignition sense plug. This is what we're looking at. Duplex repeater interface cable for Motorola CM300s is in there. So you get this little plug and now you have a repeater. It turns, did you say beans? Okay. You plug one radio into the other, you have your TX and your RX. And when one key's up, the other listens. And when, when one of them listens, the other key's up and vice versa. No. Yeah. Whenever a signal is present, it keys the other one up and transmits out on whatever frequency. So you get this little cable for 10 bucks. This is not the exact cable I think I would get, because I would get the one that splits into 3 plugs, because we are going to need a repeater controller. Now you can get something called a RIC, which is this little box that is essentially a bare bones repeater controller. It adds a Morse code identifier and a remote shutoff, I believe is all it does. It's very basic. So you can get that for 25 bucks. But because we want our system to be really awesome and cool and fun, we're going to get one of these things. You always hear the automated voice on the repeater that says the time is 1 p.m. You know, it has the voice that goes off. That's what this little box is. It's the RC210. They always sound the same because it's always the same box. These things used to be like $500 or $1,000 a piece because they were so good. Now the prices dropped down quite a lot to like 250 bucks because they're getting older and everybody's going digital now. These are commercial grade systems, so they're no longer being used for commercial. That's why the price has gone down so much. So that's just the board, but you can see all the features we have here. Flexible IDs, you can program in a Morse code or a voice ID or a sound file. Flexible courtesy tones, you can basically do whatever you want. If you want a custom file, a DTMF tone, whatever. Here's our little file sample. You'll probably be able to hear it because I can't share sound because I'm on Linux, but it just has the voice that says, you know, good afternoon. Now that's All-Star. All-Star says good afternoon. This is the one that just the same voice you've always heard on like every repeater ever. That's what this box does. You can also have a built-in DVR, so you hit DTMF1 or whatever, and it starts recording from the RF side. So that's really useful. Remote base operations, you plug in a computer and now you can control a repeater over the internet, change settings, do whatever. Macros of all kinds, so you can set a DTMF sequence to do whatever. There's just all kinds of stuff. It has a clock, the scheduler, tail messages. Those are cool. You can even plug in a Davis Instruments weather station and have it read out the information to you, which is just amazing. So it has just all kind of crazy gadgets and stuff it can do. And I'm super excited about getting one of these because we're going to put a lot of funny stuff on here. I want to get a on Fiverr, or if Ian wants to do it, you can make like radio station jingles. So we were thinking of having the hourly identification be like a like when you're listening to 925 Fox News and it comes on, it says 925 Fox News. You know, it has the whole little sound effects that play. We want to do that. We think that'd be really funny. So you can do that with this controller. So you need that, and you need the cable, and you need the radio. The next thing you're going to need is duplexers, like we were talking about.
Yeah.
Now, Telewave makes duplexers. There's another brand. It's like Cellwave, I think, is what we were looking at.
There's TXRX.
Yeah, I think Cellwave is what we're looking at. I don't know what the top of the line is yet. Something probably around this price range, probably even more. For like a really, really good, like top of the line, you're going to spend like $5,000 probably.
Yeah, but you see that's like only a 350 watt, and it's 6 cavities, and you're wanting to do 1,500 watts. Boy, that's a lot of cavities.
Okay,
Yeah,
so we'll have a gigantic stack of cavities then, the size of a bus, and
Yeah, I don't think that's realistic to
Now,
run.
are you going to build a building at the bottom of the tower? Because if
Ah.
you're going to use their building, you're barking up. You could be using all their real estate on inside the building.
Yeah.
Well,
They
like I
may
said,
limit you as to how much space you can use.
like I said, we're gonna figure out. I don't know the specifics yet. Probably
There's a
something like this.
Wacom cavity.
That's for UHF. We're gonna do whatever it takes. So
Yeah,
I don't want to
Wacom
hear all the negativity, okay?
keeps around.
Because we're gonna make a repeater that just blows the door off everybody. So you need to come here. You can get them direct from here, or you can go to like go straight to their website. Base station duplexers. This is not Telewave. This is for UHF.
Sinclair. They make
Sinclair.
good pictures too,
I
yeah.
think they make good stuff. Here we go. Here's straight from Telewave. Here's all their different ones you can buy. So eBay is where I was pointed to when I was talking to somebody about duplexers. You're like, go to eBay. So I mean, you can find what you want and tune it up and everything.
Sure.
But there you go. And if you want power, Henry full duty. Henry makes extremely, these things here. I don't know if how much this one puts out, but apparently they make good stuff, and it can do some of it can do continuous duty. This is just the brand. They don't make like normal talking around amplifiers. They make full duty stuff. I believe most of their, like, it's not like this thing. It's not like buying a little desktop amplifier. It's made for repeaters.
Yeah, this isn't your typical foot warmer that goes in your car.
130. That's
Cheap.
130. No, see, these are not for that. These don't even have the proper circuitry to like detect you actually have to wire it up to control it. It's not just like your standard amp is what I'm trying to say. Here we go. 340 watt VHF repeater amplifier, full duty, continuous duty. That is what you need right there. And it's still expensive because it's continuous duty and it's VHF. So that's what you got to get right there, is a full duty amplifier to put down the power. You got a couple more on here.
And you want
Pretty cool.
5 of those so you can get to your full legal limit.
Yeah, or just get one that's 1,500 watt. I don't think you don't see like a combiner. I don't know.
You may
how
not
you
have something like that available. I don't know.
Then we build it from scratch is what we do. So there's the hardware side. Did I have anything else? I don't think I had all that much else. Repeater coordination. So you can coordinate with your local people if you feel like doing that. You don't have to. You are not required to coordinate. You might make a lot of people mad in the process, but as we've noticed before, sometimes we have a bit of a problem trying to get other people to cooperate. So you do not have to coordinate. If you find a frequency that's dead, that's been off the air for a long time, you don't have to get permission or anything. You can just put up a system on that frequency and nobody can do anything about it. As long as you document for 30 days that system has been off the air, then you're good to go. What else is there? I don't think there's much else. Oh yeah, if you're on a tower, this was one thing I still don't have a lot of information on, is you need to probably get insurance for any kind of accident. The tower company is going to want you to have insurance, and I'm not sure still where exactly you get that. You can't Google this stuff. You look up radio tower insurance and nothing happens. It just gives you job listings for tower climbers. So that's one thing that I'm still looking for information on, but everything else is mostly figured out.
Let me give you a possibility. There is are you familiar with EHAM at all?
Yeah.
Okay. On there back in their reviews, they have listing. They list the ARRL and other sources for ham radio equipment insurance. Now, I don't know if this would be a viable option for this, but that's a place to start looking.
Okay, I will. That's good information. Thank you.
Yes, with the ARRL insurance, that will cover your equipment if the tower gets struck by lightning. If it's a club and you declare a club outing to go out to the tower site to do antenna work, I think you get $1 million worth of liability insurance.
Yeah, you're gonna want a liability insurance.
So that when somebody slips and falls 300 feet to the ground and goes thud, well,
you don't want
and they go thud because they fall right where all the cables are coming from the tower into the radio shack at the bottom, and they sever all of those with their back. Well, it takes $1 million to repair all that stuff.
Yeah,
and your insurance pays for that. And
you're gonna be hearing from that law firm so and so and so and so for the people.
Morgan and Morgan.
How?
I didn't want to mention a name, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, they're not even.
Well, that's where you have to have Bubba in his backhoe, and you bury the evidence out in the pasture.
We got some backhoes around here.
Yeah, well, whatever public company, a proper cell tower company like that, they're gonna.
Yeah, you might be smart to consider forming some type of LLC. If you're going to get this heavy into it, this is more than just a backyard repeater. This is something that you're going to have significantly, because if something happens, you may be personally on the hook legally. So you might want to consider forming some type of LLC, a nonprofit type organization, like a club or something of that nature.
Yeah.
Profit.
Yeah, we could do that. I mean, if our North Alabama Tech team thing gets big enough, eventually we might want to anyway.
Get the tower site providers to be a little more friendly with you.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna get this North Alabama Tech team, if it gets big enough, we would probably want that anyway. So yeah, that is something to consider.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just
but
it's not something that's well documented.
And coordinated, they're going to probably tell you can only run so much effective radiated power at so much height and that kind of thing.
You mean with the ARRL coordinators?
Well, that's
well, that's why. That's exactly
I know who your
why
coordinating in Alabama is. I don't have any idea.
I know his name, but that's exactly why we're not going to coordinate with them, because we've already checked our frequencies and we're not stepping on anybody. So here's our problem, is that because we do everything so differently, and like we talked about in the previous TechNet with the proper versus legal thing we talked about, these people are not going to be friendly to us anyway. Not the tower people, but the coordinators. So they already have this attitude. As soon as you mention putting up a repeater, they're like, "Oh, you can't do that. There's no open frequencies." They already have this attitude of negativity towards everybody. And our plan and what we can do is just put the system up. We're not invading anybody. So
Yeah.
we're not overstepping anybody, and there's no repeaters. I mean, outside the Huntsville area, there's nothing. I mean, it just completely
If you
dies.
consider putting this on a band other than 2 meters.
Yeah, we considered 220 and 440. 440 we don't want to do because it just doesn't work well around the hills. 220 does not have that as bad, but nobody has 220 equipment. And because we're trying to make something that is like as accessible as possible, we don't want to limit it to a band that nobody has equipment on.
Yeah. Okay. Because that's something they'll ask you.
Yeah, 220 was what I wanted to do before I found the open frequency, because that was the only thing available. There's only one 220 repeater in the entire area. It'd be easy to get a frequency on that. But if you try and tell, the young hams who just got their license, oh, you're going to need to buy this obscure, you can either buy the Baofeng, the tri-bander, or you can have nothing. You can have this one model of radio that TYT makes. It's a mono band. Equipment options are just not good enough.
Not good on 220. I know that.
Yeah. So if you already have a bunch of people who do 220, then it's a great idea.
Great.
But if you're trying to reach as many people as possible, it really just doesn't work.
I don't know, trying to get a repeater for 220, unless
Okay, good luck with that.
You play a GE Delta or a GE Master 2, and then you retune it, make it go to that frequency. That stuff, no one makes it anymore because it's a dead band. On the commercial side of the world, there's not that much stuff that you can buy for a repeater.
I mean, it's even hard to buy a radio for it. We got a 220 repeater down here. It's had to be sent back to the manufacturer a couple of times. It's a recent buy. We got it from Bridgecom, but I'm not sure Bridgecom's making 220 anymore.
Yeah, that's the main problem. Is you can't get equipment for it.
Yeah.
You can get the tri-bander and you can get the TYT, and that's it.
Yep.
You miss out on so much potential hardware when you do that. Handhelds too. Well, yeah, handhelds. You have the Baofeng or nothing.
Yeah.
There's like maybe one Kenwood that does it. Maybe one ICOM. You can get older radios, but those are even more hard to find.
Yeah.
Well, 30 years ago when they took half the 220 band away from us, that's when for whatever reason it made it really hard for equipment to be made. Most of the Japanese folks don't make the 220 stuff, or if they do, they throw it in as an afterthought because it's a band only in America.
That's right.
The Canadians don't get it, I don't think. South America, no. Europe, no. Asia, no. So it makes it like tough. They got to make a radio that, in hardware and software, they have to disable it to ship that radio elsewhere.
That's right.
And it's bad enough, like, over in the UK, the 2 meter band is only 2 megahertz wide.
Yeah.
There's a lot of radios that hams take there because if you buy one of theirs, like the Yaesu UK version, and you bring it back to America, it's not just opening it up in software. The skirts on the edges of the band just taper off. They've customized the radio for the UK bandwidth.
I think the 440 band is similar. You've got a situation with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can tweak the radio for the band that you want.
But getting a repeater equipment itself, I think that you're going to have to go to a Motorola or a GE would you look at what is it called? Repeater builder?
Yeah, I did it extensively when I was thinking about this.
Because there's a whole load of, there's outfits which take GE Master equipment, Master 2 and stuff like that and convert them to ham bands.
Right.
Or you can buy them.
You take the low band VHF and you can make that sucker work. But
Yeah.
it's a lot of, they've got step by step in there, but it's a lot of steps.
Yeah. You need to have some experience doing it.
And it's a crystal control radio, which means you got to find somebody that will custom tune your crystal, and that's a dying art.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then when you do those crystals, if you go that route, make sure you get the frequencies correct. Buddies in
Yeah.
Texas, he knew what the frequencies were for the repeater, and he sent them to him, and it's upside down. He programmed it as if it was going to be, how you would program your car. You got the 9.4 on transmit and what you receive on the 3.4.
Yeah.
No, he had them backwards. Oops.
Oh, boy.
And it's not like you can't take the transmit crystal and put it in the receive hole and the receive crystal. And no,
Ew, that'll work.
that doesn't work. They're made differently. They get multiplied differently to get to the right frequency. It was a mess, and that was like $120 worth of And then he did the drastic mistake. He didn't ask me for another set of the little icons, which is the metal can, whatever that holds the crystal. He sent those once he had just done back and had them redo them. If he had not done that, we could have used those on a receiver that was another Motorola radio. But he made a mistake and then he made a second mistake real quick.
Oh boy. I remember the crystal days.
Oh, yeah.
We used to have a place here on Crystal Drive
Yeah.
that was called Jan Crystals, and they used to make all our crystals here. I bet you Rick's probably been inside there. There was actually two different ones. There was Jan Crystals, and I think it was Fort Myers Crystals or whatever the other one was, and they made radio crystals. That's what they did right here in Fort Myers.
Yeah.
And each Radio Shack, when you would go into a Radio Shack, and you would say, look, they would like, what frequencies do you need? And he'd pull out what looks like a little organizer that you keep all your screws in. And he had the little frequencies written on the lid. It was like a box of chocolates. And you could pick which frequencies for the sheriff's department, the fire department, whatever. And Radio Shack back then would pre-order about 5 or 10 of each local frequency and have them
Right.
sitting in a little box for you.
Yeah. Because I bought a scanner out in Shreveport, Louisiana, that same way. I said, I want Shreveport Police Department, Bossier Police Department, and this frequency out on the air base. And it was an 8-channel scanner, so we filled it up with those right out of the store. But you,
Did it have the little red lights going all the way across
yeah,
every time?
LEDs.
Yeah, you had to have that. If you didn't have the little red lights, you didn't know it was working.
Yeah.
But yeah, we even had one of those in our fire station for years. And all we had in there was forestry and EMS. It was just so we could hear what the other guys were doing.
yeah,
And it sat there scanning those 2 channels for about 10 years.
oh yeah,
CAT scanners out the wazoo. Everybody had one.
Yep. And the Bearcats, for a time there, the Bearcats and the Radio Shack scanners all took those same little crystals.
Yeah.
It was just a little metal.
little can.
Oh, you know what they look like? With a little can with 2 points on the bottom, two contacts.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Go around here. I don't know.
I don't miss those days. I like my radio now that I blow 800 channels in,
Yeah.
and I change it at will. I really like that. So
Well, most
All right,
of the new
well-
repeaters are synthesized now too.
yeah,
So set the frequency. I know that Bridgecom at ARC, that FMARC got, they had to program that guy to be on a certain frequency. But that's how
Yep.
those work now. So you don't have to buy crystals.
Well, that's good. I mean, I will admit it's always better to, always better to be able to do it synthesized rather than using crystals. Hey, what's up? Yeah, I'll get that when I get out there. All right. All right. So anyway, I'm just real quick, just to pass on to you guys. I've been watching the storm out in East Fort Myers, and it's not doing anything. It's just kind of moving north, and what looked like it was going to come our way is basically now moving off to the north. So I had the tower cam on it for a little while there, showing the lightning. I don't know if you guys could see that. That was pretty cool. But anyway, so that's where we're at with that. And we'll continue to monitor it. But right now, I'm trying to see if anybody else, there's a few showers down in North Collier and out in East Collier. And that's pretty much what we got in the area right now. And then, of course, Eastern Charlotte with the one that we were watching from here. All right. So that's pretty much it on repeaters. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to discuss with us on repeaters? Any other information you'd like to impart? All right. And as I always say, you must have did something right.
Or something very wrong.
Can you guys hear that?
Yeah.
I now have a crickets button. So
Yeah.
when nobody says nothing, I just hit the crickets button.
No,
And if you do say something, we all go.
Well, see, he
Anyway.
took that little bit of knowledge I taught him about how to use that repeater website, and he went out and did it on his own. It's kind of like
Yeah, he did.
the heat sink. What's that thing made out of?
The Peltier?
Yeah, that guy, Peltier. See,
Yeah.
you teach him one
Those things
little
are
thing, and
great.
he learns a lot.
Those things are great. I love Peltier.
I haven't bought a Peltier yet, and I want to buy. I've been collecting heat sinks. I've got about 10 or 12 different size heat sinks. One of them is actually huge, and I want to just play around with it. I want to do some different things, but
They're funky, man. As soon as you put power on it, you put your finger on it and attach it to 12 volts, and it gets cold. It's weird. But if you put your hand on the other side, you better take your finger off there real quick because you'll burn your finger. It
I
gets a
just
lot
can't
hotter
believe
than it does colder.
we can't use this technology to create cold air.
Yes, you can.
We do.
It's not energy efficient.
It wouldn't be efficient enough to. Okay.
Well,
I
there's
mean,
still some things that
It's
do.
good for taking a little bit of heat off of something. It would work really good on a Raspberry Pi.
Right.
But
If
you
you
wouldn't
get
want
a
to do that if you were battery operating your Raspberry Pi, because now you got to carry around a car battery with you.
Yeah, that
Right.
Peltier by itself, I had to buy a big power supply for it. I think it was, I can't remember the wattage of it, but it was up there. It
Probably
takes
like
a lot
an
of
amp.
juice. No, it was more than that. It was like 5 amps or something. It was.
Oh wow.
I had to look and see what I
Jesus.
actually bought, but it was a big power supply, and it wastes a lot of energy.
I was going
Yeah.
to say, has anybody been able to find a Raspberry Pi?
Yes, they had Raspberry Pis here in in Atlanta, at
Micro Center.
Center. Yeah,
Yeah.
they had Raspberry. The 8 gigabyte ones.
Yeah,
Man,
They had a few, and they went quick.
I'm
That's
sure
good.
they did.
I heard that there was a really bad crop of raspberries this year.
no, we've
Yeah,
talked to the
I-
Gigaparts, the guy who runs Gigaparts. He was at Hamfest, and we talk to him every now and then. We're like, well, come on, man, where's the Raspberry Pis? And he's like, I can't get them. You just can't get them. So he sold like 5 Pis for $300 out of his personal collection and made a whole bunch of money. And it was just ridiculous. It was like, who is buying these for $300? I mean, they're
I've got
really
one
awesome.
Raspberry Pi 4 with 4 gigs, which I'm holding on to.
Yeah, don't ever get rid of that. Ian's got a don't you have like 2 Raspberry Pis right now? You have
Well,
the,
there's one in the radio box, and then there's that 3 that you gave me to do the other stuff with, which I still have here.
yeah, don't ever get rid of that.
No, I won't. Trust me.
Those
I
things
plan
are-
to actually have the repeater one doing the repeater thing and have that other one doing something else. I just don't know what yet. I've got a screen and everything for it even. I just don't have it hooked up yet.
Yeah. Well, those pies are useful for a lot of different things.
Well, see, that gets to the other thing that the guys here have found at Micro Center is it's a tiny little laptop, but it comes with 8 gigabytes of RAM, and it's like $60.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about that laptop.
Yeah, and you can yank the LTE module out and put in more memory, more hard drive space, except it's flash, but even SSD
SSD.
on an M2 chassis, and you can get like 256 megabytes for under $40. Now you've got like $100 in this thing, but it's much more than a Raspberry Pi, because you've already got the display, you've already got the keyboard. You're ready to go.
All right. All right. Does anybody else have anything else on that stuff?
Yeah.
Well, keep
It's
right
past
on.
my bedtime, so I'm going to be out of here. I enjoyed it.
All right, very good.
Okay,
Yeah,
Daniel.
I'm fine to go early myself tonight anyway. Yeah, we'll see you later, Dallas. Have a good night. And for the rest of you out there, we're gonna do some hurricane stuff here. I want to show you guys a few things on the hurricane
Dallas
maps.
can go hide behind Stone Mountain and not have to worry about it.
Yeah, Dallas don't have to worry about the hurricanes too much. But anyway, this
I
is
got a thing over here too.
so-
Daniel.
there we go. And there we go. Okay, very good. Okay, so this is what we got here. This is I want you to notice something that's happened in the last few hours. They've dropped the other one out here in the intertropical.
Yeah.
It's gone. It's
Noticed
gone
it
now.
disappeared.
Yeah, this one here though is looking pretty healthy still. It's just east of the Leeward Islands, and Air Force Reserve reconnaissance plane indicates that a circulation associated with an area of low pressure located, whatever. It's becoming better defined today. The reason we're watching this one is because the models keep hinting at a jog to the left. And I don't think there's any chance at this point that this could be a South Florida storm or a West or a Gulf storm. But I also don't know if it's going to make this radical right turn that they're talking about. And we're going to go over that here in just a second.
No, one end has it going east of Bermuda and the other one has it going west of Bermuda.
Right. And earlier today, the Euro had it coming right up between Cuba and right above Hispaniola there and coming right into the Florida Straits and then curving up the coast. That's backed off that this evening now. But anyway, this is the American model. And notice it brings it right over the top of the northernmost Windward Islands there. And it comes over and then it makes this sudden jog to the right. See that? And it goes out to sea. That's more likely than not what's going to happen right there. That's probably what's going to happen. But that's an awfully hard right turn. And I've noticed in the past when they say they're going to make a hard right turn, sometimes the Hurricane Center doesn't even necessarily put that in their forecast because storms don't make hard right turns. This one here, this is the Euro. The Euro wants to keep it right down on the islands. And but no genesis. It's keeping it at a tropical depression status here. Notice 1007 millibars. That's not really anything. That's just a low pressure center. But then right here, We're talking here on Monday on holiday.
Labor
It's
Day.
going, it's showing it that it's basically stationary. It's gone stationary here, and it's stationary for an entire day on Monday, and then starts to pull north a little bit, and then we run out of frames. So there's a big question mark. Anytime you guys have a stationary storm, of course, that's scary, because when you have a stationary storm, it becomes a lot less certain where it's going to go, because when it starts to move again is going to be important, and that's hard to forecast. This is the CMC model. Notice it's keeping it right on top of the islands as well, right there across the top. But then it has this turn to the northeast as well. But notice it deepens it into a category 2 hurricane,
Yeah.
and then it just sweeps it out to sea. Maybe with a brush in the northeast somewhere as a 1 or a 2 hurricane. So, there you go. So that's what I've been watching on these. And we've got an anomaly this year. I talked to Matt Devitt. I'm like the geek in the building that will talk weather with the dude, right? And he came in, the old guy we used to have, he was a great guy, but he wouldn't talk weather with me. Jim, remember Jim?
Jim Farrell.
Jim
Yeah.
Farrell, great guy, would not talk weather with me. He'd walk in, I'm like, hey man, did you see the Euro? He goes, yeah, I don't like cream in my coffee. And it was his way of saying, I don't talk about the weather unless the camera's on. But then Matt Devitt's the exact opposite. He likes to come in and we geek out looking at the models. Sometimes I'll go in there and we'll just sit there and look at the models. I said, what the hell's going on? How do we get Danielle up here? It's going to end up being a hurricane that far north. He says because of the Saharan dust and because of the lower than normal thunderstorm activity and because of some of the other things going on out there, what we've seen lower than normal activity over this whole area, which has created higher than normal sea surface temperatures. We have an anomaly now at sea surface temperatures as much as 3 or 4 degrees in some areas that are higher than normal for this time of year. And so because of that, we could actually see a lot. Let's see, is this what I'm looking for? Yes. All right, I think this is what I'm looking for. Sea surface temperature anomaly. Look at this. Look up here where that storm's going. That everything, this is 3 and 4 degrees above normal up here. So we're seeing warmer than normal sea surface temperatures. This is an anomaly map. What they mean by anomaly is it's showing you the difference from normal. So you can see there that around us, it's all about a degree warmer than it normally would be this time of year. Anyway, that's that. I love this spaghettimodels.com. I think everybody probably already goes there. You guys already know about that. But look at this Danielle. I mean, let's go to tropical tidbits here. Look at this Danielle. I mean, there's one model got it approaching category 3 strength. I think it's more likely down in this area, but that's interesting. This storm nobody needs to worry about this storm except the fish. I don't think. Like I said, there's still a lot of uncertainty in the models. Every time they run it, it comes up with something different. So if I was from West Palm Beach up to the Outer Banks, I would be watching this one fairly closely. For us, I don't think it's a concern. All right. Any questions on any of that? It is getting better organized. Look at that little plume coming up right there. Your lows probably.
That's not Danielle. That's the other one, right?
No, this is
No,
this is this is this is the Leeward Islands right here. And that's Hispaniola. So this is or Haiti, I mean, Hispaniola. This is it. This is it right here. And your low is sitting right in between these two blobs right there. See it?
Yeah.
In the last couple of frames, you can see the spin right there. It's hard to see spin on infrared. You can see it real clearly on visible. But anyway, some pretty stuff.
We don't want that getting into the Gulf either.
No.
No, I don't think it will. It's already too far north to make a run at the Gulf, I think. And the atmosphere doesn't support it to go any further south. So I really believe that this thing at the very far left would be like a West Palm, but I really don't see that. I really think there's a real good chance this is going to be a fish storm. So real good chance anyway. And it does have a lot of dry air around it. Look at that. It's fighting dry air. I mean, that's what's keeping it from growing. It's got the energy right now. We've got high over low. We got everything we need to do here, except we're fighting this envelope of dry air around it. So anyway, there you go. Let's see here. And that's pretty much it.
Dry air and Saharan dust are a good thing.
Yep. It has been hot, man. Some of these temperatures have been crazy. Some of these temperatures. He had a couple of good graphics here. There's a great graphic I put in the newsletter for you guys. That's that I found, and I'll pull that up real quick. Let me just get that going here.
And my sister lives in the LA area. She told me the other day it was 106.
Wow. That's crazy. All right, give me just a second here to get this going. What? Oh my Lord, I got all this weird stuff coming up here. What is all this? There it is. Okay. Sometimes you just never know. Okay. Anyway, the next thing I wanted to do was I wanted to bring up the newsletter. You guys like it? We did a little redesigning here. I think it looks kind of cool. And my new tagline I put up today is everything you need for a great ham radio weekend. Kind of gearing this thing to be like your guide for the weekend. You know, it's got everything in there from your special events, your ham fests, your contests, your news, everything that's going on for this weekend. It's all in here. And there's a lot in here this week. I'm not going to painfully go through every bit of it because you guys have it all. We just talked about this. Like I said, that one's disappeared since this was published. And this is the map I wanted to show you guys.
Yeah.
It's a really cool map. It's outdated. And I can't find a current one, but this is from 1950 to 2004. This is every single hurricane that's made landfall, not tropical storms, just hurricanes. But you'll notice the colors over here on the right. They used a very strange color scale.
Yeah.
Is that a bizarre color scale?
It is bizarre. It must have been doing drugs.
I mean, yellow and then a little more yellow.
And then blue and then black.
And then like baby blue, black, and red. The red I get, I would have done category 1 would have been black, and I would have went up through the colors, you know, yellow, orange, red, something like that. Maybe green, blue, yellow, orange, red. I would have done it that way, but whatever.
Amber.
Yes,
There's a
that
good
would be that.
sci-fi
That's
book.
yellow and that's amber.
There's a
But
good
yeah,
book,
go ahead.
sci-fi
Yeah,
book
orange
series.
and then red and then black. That would have made more sense.
I don't think I've heard of that amber, a sci-fi series called that.
Yeah, the Amber series. Yep.
No, I need to check that out because I'm a sci-fi guy.
It's older, but just, yeah, it should come up on a Google. There are a lot of books in that series.
Wow.
I think they might have even made a show briefly on it. It didn't go too well, but
I want to show you guys two things real quick here. As you guys can see, September's the big month.
Yeah.
So we're now in the big month of the year. The other thing I wanted to show you over here is the last 5 years have all been above normal. We're kind of in a bit of a trend here. And this is a bit of a misnomer. Your global warming people and your activists and stuff will tell you, look, there's more storms now than there was 100 years ago. But we all know that we know things now that we didn't know back then. We see things now that we didn't see back then. And we count things now that we didn't know about back then. So when you look at it, there's almost the same number of major hurricanes over the last 100 years. But the difference is there's a lot more little storms now than there used to be. And that's because we didn't used to know about them. We didn't used to count them, and so on and so forth. So
before 1960.
exactly. And you can see that as you go back before 1950, between 1900 and 1950, some years we had like 3 storms.
Yeah.
And it's because we didn't know, that there was a storm out there. So
Well,
there's
I
always
remember
going
in
to,
the early 60s. I mean, you had a storm back in around 64. I think the name was Esther or something like that.
Betsy.
Yeah, no, it wasn't Betsy. This was another one. That all of a sudden, bam, they discovered the thing because an
Donna.
aircraft flew through it. But you couldn't see what was going on out there because you didn't have satellites.
well,
So,
Betsy was 65 and it hit Alamorada.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe it was Donna.
Yeah, well, Donna, I remember Donna.
My mom went through Donna with her family, and
personally,
the difference between Donna was like Charlie was moving 33 miles an hour when it came through, and it was a little teeny storm. It was a very intense storm that lasted maybe about an hour and a half.
yeah,
It was literally nothing like that. Donna, the difference with Donna, it was one of the slowest moving storms over land.
it was also a very large storm.
It was very large and it was very slow moving. My mother had hurricane force winds on them for 12 hours.
Yeah.
And then the eye came.
Yeah.
And then they had 12 additional hours of hurricane force winds coming the other direction.
Oh, yeah.
So you can only imagine.
I went through that myself. I was here for that.
Yeah. And it was a long duration storm, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where the difference in storms, people always look categories based on wind speed. Wind speed.
Wind speed.
I don't think that's a fair way of assessing how bad it's going to hit a community. Because I think that how long it's going to sit over the community is just as important as how strong it is.
Yeah.
And I also believe that how much rain it's going to drop.
How much rain it's going to drop, and for storm surge, at what angle of attack is it coming
exactly
in? Yeah.
Exactly. And so when they say, oh, it's a Cat 3, that's a misnomer. If you look at it, one of the worst storms to ever hit the United States was Katrina, but that was only a Cat 3.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody thinks it was a Cat 5, but it was a Cat 5 2 days earlier.
It was out
because of the property damage and life losses that it was rated that high.
But Camille was a Category 5 when it struck up in that same area.
Yep. Yeah, but you don't hear anything about that one. The reason that there's a bunch of reasons why Katrina was such a bad storm. It hit the softest target we have.
Yeah.
We hit the only city we have that literally sits below sea level.
Yeah.
I mean, that's bottom line. It hit the worst place it could hit. Number 2, even though it was only a Cat 3, it was a monster. And not only was it a monster, but it was not a real fast mover. But not only that, even though it was a 3 at the time of impact, it still had higher energy levels than you would normally see in a 3 because it was a 5 just a day earlier. Yeah. And so I think there's a lot of interesting things about Katrina because people always talk about Katrina as being, well, it was a Cat 5. No, it was only a Cat 3 technically, but yet was one of the worst storms to ever hit the country. And so that's why I've never been happy with the category system.
Yeah.
For tornadoes, it's a lot more accurate. It works more accurately.
Yeah.
You're talking about a much smaller geographic area. You can be a lot more specific about the size and everything. But with hurricanes, I almost think they need to almost have either a threat level, like Fort Myers is under a threat level 4 or something. So
Yeah,
that what that
that's-
or maybe they do it like the caution things that they put on trucks, the placards. The ones that have like the blue, the red, the yellow, the white, and it tells you the flammability, the corrosiveness, and the whatever, the oxidizer. It tells you all about that chemical, right? You guys know what those are.
Yeah.
I almost think storms need to have like a placard, and it needs to be, okay, Fort Myers, this storm for you is a 4223. And I know that sounds complicated, but it's not. What it would basically mean is it's a 4 for wind. It's going to be a very windy storm, but it's moving fast, so it's not going to bring a lot of rain. So we're going to be a 4 for wind, a 2 for rain, and a 3 for tidal surge along the coast. And basically those 4 numbers would represent the 4 threats that you have from a hurricane, which is basically wind, and let's see, what would it be? Would it be wind and rain and tidal surge?
Surge is probably the second.
Yeah. Wind. Well, surge is the number 1 killer for sure. Surge, wind, and then rainfall. Maybe there's just 3. I don't know. But I believe that hurricanes need to be rated better, more comprehensively. But the reason they don't do it, and I know why they don't do it, and they've got a good point, it's already complicated enough for the average person. That's what they'll tell you. You can walk up to the average person on the street and ask them the difference between a watch and a warning.
And they won't know.
And they won't know. And it's important as shit, dude. But they don't know that 1 means that there's a potential problem, 2 means there's a problem. It's a big difference. And I've always been surprised at the number of people that really just know nothing about the National Weather Service and their alert and alarm system. They don't know about it.
Zilch. It's like with the tornado watches, and I mean watches, not warnings. You can go on the Storm Prediction Center site, and you can tell how bad they think it's going to be. It can be just
Right.
a regular old low probability, or if they say this is a particular dangerous situation, then you're going to have, more than likely there will be a tornado in that area someplace. So you can get it pretty good.
It's interesting how they do it too, because the National Hurricane Center, the National Weather Service, they just added, I don't know if you guys are aware of this. Where is my damn screen? I hate when it does this. Oh, it's over here. Okay. Anyway, the National Hurricane Center, they're doing this thing now. Well, they've always had watches and warnings. That's kind of been the way it's always been. And they've added one on the top and the bottom. A while back, they added a weather statement. A statement I like, because that comes out and it's like, hey, we're issuing a weather statement. I get it on my phone. It says there's a strong thunderstorm. It may become worse later, whatever. And then you got a watch. A watch means that it's there's a potential for a problem over an area. And then a warning is there's an actual problem and people are being affected by it, and you're next. And then they've added something called, I don't know if you guys have heard this, but they've added what they call a high wind emergency and a tornado emergency. These are 2 new designations that the National Weather Service has come out with. And I heard them issuing tornado emergencies last year over the radio for areas out west. And so if you hear a tornado warning, remember, tornado warning used to be the highest warning they issued, but that's not anymore. They actually can issue a high wind warning, a high wind emergency, or a tornado emergency now. So I thought that was kind of cool. And you'll actually hear them come out. You'll get the alert tone. They've issued a tornado emergency for the following cities. And they only issue that when it's a high F storm, like an F3, F4, F5, and it is hitting populated areas, and lives are directly in danger.
And
Is the
then
only
that
time they use
means,
that.
holy shit, you need to get under something.
Exactly. And
This
the
is so
high
crazy.
wind emergency, it takes effect when you have a landfalling category 4 or 5 hurricane. They'll issue a high wind emergency. But anyway, I just let you guys know that in case you hear those, not to be surprised. They've added a few things here and there. Anyway, I like the way they do it. I think it could be a little better. I think with the hurricanes, we really need a way to assess each of the 3 or 4 phases of danger, and not just some broad number that's based on wind
Separate
speed.
doesn't cut it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you know what? I'm gonna tell you something. If you may live in a low-lying area, but your house is a brick shit house.
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna look at that storm totally different than a guy that lives on a hill in a shack.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that's 2 totally different battle plans there.
Yeah.
And so I start to wonder, are we ever going to get to the point where we're going to be telling people, here's the water risk, here's the tidal risk, and here is the wind risk. And maybe the 4th one will be, here's the tornado risk. Although we know with tropical storms, your tornado risk and your lightning risk are generally in your outer feeder bands. And your initial bands that come on shore. But anyway, that's what I had. Does anybody have anything on that? All right, very good. Let's go back over here real quick. I'm going to run through the rest of this, and then I am going to clear out a little early tonight. And when I say early, I'm talking 10 o'clock. Let's see here. Basically, space weather. We have been having a very, very active space weather period over the last couple weeks. And I'll show you that here in just a minute. The dung beetles, this story's in there. It's very interesting. I know it's crazy, it's dung beetles, but they actually use, this is what they see. And they use the stripe from the Milky Way to navigate. And so it's a unique story. I don't normally do stories on dung beetles, but I thought it was interesting. Listen, the solar activity, it's up. It was at 116 when I put this out this morning. The solar flux, we're up to 130, so it's coming up. It's coming up a little bit, but our geomagnetic field is now in storm right now, and therefore the bands are closed. They're not really doing too well right now. Okay, terrestrial weather. It's going to be a little drier next week and hot as hell. Oh my God, it's just going to suck next week. Sunday is going to be the dry day this weekend. If you guys are doing, you got 3 days. You got tomorrow, Sunday, Monday. You got 3-day weekend. If you're looking for the driest day, it's Sunday. But my God, it's going to be hot. It's going to be like desert conditions. Anyway, and for my funny boners, I just found a couple of funny things. I like that one in the middle. I got to show that to my wife and see what she thinks about that. But he finally fixed that noise problem in the cab of the truck. Anyway, and
I like
on the
that
right,
one on the left. That's the solution to daylight saving time.
there you go. Yeah, that one. When I retire, that one on the left will be what my clock looks like. And then hamxiety. Hamxiety is the fear of antennas not working correctly once you've mounted them on top of your antenna. I have that. I know what that's like, because you're going to get it all set. You're going to put it up and everything, and it's not going to work. All right. The swap shop is next weekend. It's next weekend, not this weekend. And there is a Hamfest. Dade City's not that far. It's about 2.5 hours up the road. Up 75, just north of Tampa. Don't think that that's Miami. I already made that mistake.
No,
It's Dade
that's up
City.
in Tampa.
Yeah, it's just
City.
north of Tampa, near Brooksville, up in that area.
In that area.
Melbourne Ham Fest is on the 7th. That's next weekend.
Not
And that's
Australia.
pretty. Yeah. So there you go. That's your Ham Fests that are coming up. I don't know much about the 23 centimeter band, but I'm hearing people doing stuff. People are doing stuff up there. So,
23 centimeter. I'm trying to think what that is. Is that 1.2 gigs?
900.
something like that.
1.2
I think it's
gigahertz?
900 because of 33 centimeter. I think
900 is 33 centimeters, so that would
Oh,
be
okay.
1.2
Then it-
gigs.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
1.2.
I'm not sure. Like I said, I
That's
find it
another
very
band I wish we
interesting,
could
but
make better use of is 900. At 902 to 928, it's shared band, but it's got all the good features of 440.
yeah, I'd like to play with it, but the equipment obviously is a little more of a challenge to get.
Yeah,
Sounds like a personal problem to me.
Yeah, I know.
Skill
All right,
issue.
I've been doing a lot of studying on these Starlink satellites. We've been talking about those on the other show I do, and it's interesting stuff. They're trying to get it to where it'll provide internet service to people in areas, so that you can, like, if you're out somewhere, you can send texts and things like that. It may even be able to make phone calls and stuff like that at some point. But here's the thing I've been reading about, and I don't really go into depth in here, but I think next week I'm going to do a 2-page deal on it. It works with regular cell phones, but these things are 30 something miles up. And our cell phones are not designed to talk over that kind of distance. However, as you guys know, the further up in the atmosphere you go, the less resistance that your signal has and the less EM there is. And so your signal will propagate a lot further up in upper atmosphere and eventually lower space than it would along the ground. Okay, with everything, with other antennas and power lines and houses and everything in between it. But that being said, it's still going so high. They're talking about having like a docking station that your phone can slip into. And this thing would be like a power amp for your phone, and it would give your phone the signal. They're also talking about making phones that will be ready to go, that will have like a plug-in antenna that you can plug in on top. Hey, wouldn't that, imagine that? Isn't that crazy? They're talking about having an antenna plug.
yeah. They used to
How
on the
crazy is that?
earlier cell phones, but
That's
not.
what pisses me off, because yes, we used to, on the old cell phones, they all had well, early on, the pack phones all had a BNC connector.
Yeah.
And then eventually even all the phones, the first handheld phones had the little SMA connectors on there. But you can't connect to anything to it. And see, when I was looking to do storm chasing stuff a while back, which I never did because I'm poor. But when I was looking at doing this stuff, one of the things I really wanted to do was be able to beam a live signal back from an affected area. And what I was wanting to do was set up a set of dual Yagis on my cell phone frequency and hook it up to my phone and have my phone tethered so that I could send back an image. I could send back video, and I could take those Yagis, and right after the storm's getting pretty much over, I could put them up 20, 30 feet in the air, point them back towards the unaffected area, and hit cell phones towers that are 20 and 30 miles in the distance. That was what my thought was at the time. And I ran into a real problem where if you wanted to do something like that, you had to go buy commercial equipment that was set up to do something like that. You're not going to be able to just wire it up to a
Yeah.
Samsung S8 or whatever. It's not going to work. So, but now they got this Starlink thing, and I'm thinking, wow, okay, Starlink may be another solution for all of us to get our signals out during a storm. It would, if we had a phone that we could plug an antenna into, and we could put an antenna up on the roof that could reach these Starlink satellites, we would have reliable internet and reliable telephone no matter what. Now, if the problem is an EMP pulse from the sun, they're going to take out the Starlink satellites too. So it still won't completely solve your problem of connectivity during an emergency, but I think it's cool. I think it's worth keeping an eye on. They're putting a lot of money into this Starlink system, and my question is, who's going to pay for it? they know they're going to get their money back on this investment. You don't put stuff into space unless you've got a real good study going on your ROI, if you know what I mean. People are not going to spend a lot of money. They're not going to spend millions of dollars unless they know they're going to get that back. So I'm interested to see how it goes. I really am. And we'll have to just see. But anyway, does anybody else have anything on the Starlink stuff? All right. Other than that, this week, they're going to try to launch that tomorrow. If you guys, the Artemis, if you guys want to check it out, they're going to try
Yeah,
again
they'll probably
tomorrow.
scrub it again.
You know, I don't want to come on here and talk shit about NASA. So I'm going to try really hard not to. I've loved NASA my whole life. I'm a big patriot guy. I fly a flag in my yard, and I've always loved NASA. But I got to tell you something. Jesus. Oh my God. They came out with a statement like a month ago that said that they're wanting to do something really cool and really new to reinvigorate the space program. So in order to do something really neat and really cool and really new and really innovative, they're doing the same shit they did 53 years ago. That's the government for, and they've repackaged it. It's no longer a bag of shit. Now it's something better. And
sugar-coated bag of shit.
Yeah, they've repackaged it for you. So now it's got sprinkles. I don't know, man. I love
Beatles back.
And you know what? They're proving that that NASA is the same thing NASA's always been. They're $50 billion over budget on this thing, and they're months behind. NASA, everything they've ever done has been billions in the red and months behind. And here we are, 52 years after the original moon landing, and we're trying to get it off the ground to go to the moon again. And you know who's freaking out right now? And this is gonna be funny. You know who's freaking out right now? All these people that believe we never went to the moon.
Oh,
they're all saying, yeah, see, look, none of them people that went to the moon got any strange cancers and died. Well, that's not true. Actually, several of them did get strange cancers and died. But let's not get into all that. They're saying those guys never went to the moon. That's like, oh, they never went to the moon. Okay. They never went to the moon. Well, I know they meant to the moon. There's no way you can keep a secret like that serious. I've studied this my whole life. I'm a moon child. I was born on July 20th, 1969, the exact day that a man stepped first on the moon. My father was watching the moon landing in the waiting room when they came and got him to come see me. So
my birthday is July 19th and my mother's was July 21st.
Well, we got this all wrapped up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll tell you what, I've always loved the moon stuff, and I've always known that we went. I seriously studied it for a couple of years, thinking that maybe we didn't really go. I mean, if you think about it, in 1969, we're building atmospheric systems for spacecraft that were shooting at thousands of miles. I don't know, man. You can really think hard on that and start doubting it yourself if you really want to. But no, I really believe that we actually went to the moon. But now you have to think, well, here it is 52 years later, and we're having a real hard time making it happen.
Well, you know, what's funny is the computers that our phones that we carry around are more powerful than the computers that they used for those moonshots. That was amazing.
Yeah, in fact, your cell phone probably has 10 to 20 times the operating ability and probably 1,000 times of the memory.
Yeah.
Than that system that took them around the moon. Yeah. That was a very simplistic navigation system they had, and it still took up a pretty good percentage of the spacecraft.
Yeah.
You have no idea how much of that was built into the spacecraft. It was quite a bit, actually. But anyway, I want to see what happens with this. I said this on the air. If we're going to go back to the moon, if we're going to do anything, it's going to be the private sector that's going to do it. I want you guys to remember Elon Musk, and all these guys, man, all these space guys. The private sector is what's doing it. The free markets. I want you guys to notice something. look at how the government's floundered with space for 50, 60 years now. They floundered around with it. We play around with it. We put a telescope up, it don't work right. We put another one up, it don't work right. We've done a lot of really cool stuff. We put up a bunch of shuttles, only 2 of them blew up. We did a lot of cool stuff. But if you really look at it, what did we accomplish? I mean, we were going to go to Mars. We were going to do some things. The truth is the government doesn't actually make anything. And look where the progress has been is in the private sector. Anytime we engage the private sector to take us to space, we're there in a few years.
Yeah.
We sent Bill Shatner to space. Captain Kirk's actually been to space.
Yeah, that's right.
That's really cool, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really cool. And I think that it's an amazing thing what all these companies have done. But here's the bottom line. The only way space is going to ever be attainable is if we can figure out a reason to go. The reason in the 60s was to beat the Russians. We had to beat the Russians, to boldly go where no man has gone before. We watched Star Trek in the 60s, and then we put a man on the moon. We did it. But once we got there, we realized there's no money up here. And so we're going to have lots of money to keep coming back. And we're not going to bring back anything that's really worth a whole lot of money.
There is an asteroid out there that's worth quintillions of dollars because of
And
the
there you
material
go.
of it. That's what they'll
And
go.
there you go. And I'm all for it. Because if we can advance space using the free market to its fullest potential, I'm 100% for it. Because we've tried the government doing it. And it basically, we're 53 years later and we're doing the same thing again.
It's like the Obamacare website.
Yeah, pretty much. And what I want to see,
withdrawal.
a lot of people think that, the Federation and Star Trek and all that, that's the government. That's basically a future of the government. I actually don't see it that way. I think that space and the future of space in 100 years is going to be all the private sector. I don't believe that there's going to be any reason to go to space except to go get money and bring it back, to go get something to bring it back to make money. And people hate that. They're like, I hate that. That's just nasty. So we're going out to make the money. No, it's not. It's the free markets. It's entrepreneurialism. It's people finding a reason to go where they want to go and then using that reason to get there.
Yeah.
And I don't see anything wrong with the private sector running space. I mean, there'll always be government there to write tickets if you're going too fast. But I mean, as far as, actually being the explorers in space, I have no problem with it being the private sector. I also have no problem with it being international crews and being international companies even.
I just had an idea of something we can do for space. Let's send those 87,000 IRS agents out there. Get rid of them.
There you go. I hear there's a lot. There you go. There's a lot of tax evasion on the moon and maybe on Mars, and we could send them there to check that out. Yeah. I'll never understand why a tax collector needs a 40 caliber and 3 magazines, but whatever. Anyway,
that's the thing. They talk about
let's leave that there.
The military running out of ammunition. Well, I said, go get it from the IRS.
There you go.
They probably have nuclear weapons.
Yeah. So there you go. That's where I think NASA is. I think that we're going to get this Artemis off. I think that we're going to shit, I didn't realize all that time I've had this stupid screen on. But anyway, I can't ever find a thing to get rid of it. There we go. But anyway, that's basically the Artemis deal. I think that I think they'll be successful. I mean, NASA's pretty good at what they do. They just can't get it done on time or in budget. I don't know. I went to school every day with a NASA sticker on my book bag. I mean, it was I was a NASA kid. I was a geek. I didn't care. and I love it. But it's hard for me now as a 52-year-old, whatever I am, person that understands the way the world works now and the markets work and politics work. And now I understand why the private sector kicks NASA's ass all over this planet anytime they want. And they're going to find a reason. You know what the first reason to go to space they found is? Tourism.
There you go.
They get $1 million a flight. And so all we have to do is bring the cost of these flights down a little bit, get some rich people lined up, and next thing you know, we're making routine space flights once a week. And tourism, space tourism is going to get us over this hump. And then once we get up there, we're going to find helium-3 or who knows what, dilithium crystals.
No,
I
we're
don't
gonna
know,
find the
but-
Chinese up there.
Maybe. I personally believe that we never stopped going to the moon. And I personally believe that the space program has continued both in public and in private, in behind a government wall. And I believe that that's why hammers cost $800 in the military. I think there's a lot that goes on. You can watch shows like Stargate and shows like that. And it's interesting to see how it would be set up to have a whole secret government agency that controls this portal to other planets, or this spaceship that we found, or whatever the technology is that we have. I always find it very interesting how these different shows address that, because looking at it from a geopolitical, point of view, that's kind of crazy. How would that play out here? What if a ship was suddenly found up there? Well, we're the only ones that can get to it. I mean, we're the only ones that can scramble something fast enough to get up there. And we find this abandoned ship up there floating by the planet. Whose is it?
Ours now.
Finders keepers. That's what I say. And we got the shit that flies right now. So, yeah, it's ours. But you can see where that would be an instant problem on this planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, there could be a lot of things.
So
I also, the only other criticism I have of NASA, and I'm going to be honest, I feel like I'm talking about my own child here. But NASA has upset me really bad over the years. The other thing I can't stand about NASA, they are so quick to debunk things that I know they're full of shit. You'll see something in a picture and you'll be like, look at that. That looks like a skull on the moon. Oh, that's a rock. That looks like a face on Mars. Oh, it's a ball of sand. And I mean, before they literally will get pictures from NASA, and there's 7 missing out of the series. Why? Because those were the 7 that showed shit that they didn't want to show us. And then when we do find something in a picture that looks like a piece of technology or a piece of bone or something like that, they're so quick to debunk it. They're full of shit. No one can be that quick to say that something is crap when there's no way that if it's crap or not. Okay? They'll be like, here's a rock, and before you say anything, it's nothing. That's how they release stuff. They'll release it with a press release that we've checked all them rocks, and yeah, they're not what you think they are. They're rocks. And it becomes a debunker, closed-minded attitude sometimes. I almost think they could unearth a ship up there and they go, man, it's a rock that looks just like a spaceship.
You never know, they might find Jimmy Hoffa.
You never know. I will tell you, one of my favorite movies in the whole world is The Martian. You guys watch that?
Yep, that was good.
Oh man, that's a good movie. I literally go back and watch that a couple times a year. It's become one of those movies like Galaxy Quest or Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. There's just certain movies that are iconic that I can go back and watch over and over and over again, that are just really good. Like the Blues Brothers, or trying to think of some other really good ones. but or your Christmas movies. You know how we all have like 1 or 2 Christmas movies we have to watch every year. Well, mine is Christmas Vacation, Chevy Chase, and my number 2 is Scrooged with Bill Murray, and my number 3 is A Christmas Story, of course. And I'll say this just to piss my wife off. My number 4 is Die Hard. She's yelling right now. That's not a Christmas movie. But anyway, anything on that? Anything? All right. Well, I'm glad to hear everybody else has Christmas movies they like. Anyway.
Oh yeah, I mean, everybody. I think ours are mostly. I think we only have like 2 Christmas movies. We have one that's like an obscure movie. It's apparently obscure. It's just called Santa Claus. And then there's another one that's the Muppet Christmas Carol. Those are the 2 that we
Is that the
watch.
movie called The Santa Claus? And it's got the Tool Man in it?
No, there's a toy maker in it who's kind of funny. Or no, he runs a toy company.
No,
And
I don't know
he
if I've seen that
there's
one.
a scene in it where he decides one of the elves runs away and goes into the city and starts making toys for this like big corporate company. And Christmas is over, but the guy still wants to make more money. So he says, we'll make another holiday to sell more presents and we'll call it Christmas 2.
Oh,
And
Hallmark's done that several times.
I've always got a kick out of that. And I think that's really funny. So sometimes when there's like a sequel of something, I'll say like Ham Radio 2.
Yeah.
So those are like our 2, but we only have like those 2, I think, that I know of.
Well, there's a lot of places like Hallmark is bad about this. They'll make everything a holiday. And an example of this, you guys have heard of the gender reveal?
Oh gosh.
This shit is made up. Some chick out in California, and she has a video where she apologizes to the world over it. She actually created this thing called gender reveal because she ran a party planning service. And she literally listed on there one day on her pamphlets, gender reveal party. And she started setting these up for people. And next thing you know, it's a thing. Next thing you know, they're killing people with bombs with colored powder in them. And they're setting the woods on fire and burning down thousands of homes in the San Fernando Valley. And they're just killing everybody. And some grandma shot in the stomach by shrapnel and some asshole loses a leg in a trucking accident where he was trying to jump a ramp. And let me tell you what, gender reveals have gotten out of control. That lady should be arrested.
Sounds like some kind of riot.
It's just dumb. The ones I've seen, they'll take fireworks and they'll put it down inside a thing that contains like blue powder, and then they blow it up. And it's all really cool until someone loses a testicle or something. Every time they do, look up gender reveal fails on YouTube. No, I'm serious. I should just put this shit on right now. Gender reveal fails. I'm telling you, it's some of the funniest stuff in the world to see how idiots. And let me tell you what, I'm gonna tell you something that's gonna sound rude. I'm gonna sound like an ass, okay? But here it comes. Nobody gives a shit about the gender of your child, but you and your significant other, and maybe your mom. That's the truth. Nobody gives a crap about, because they're just going to grow up and decide to change it anyway. Nobody cares about the gender anymore. Okay. The whole gender reveal.
That's what it is.
There's 58 genders now. You're going to need 58 colors of powder. I don't know how this is even going to work in the future, but I got to tell you something. The gender reveal thing is terrible. It's just a terrible thing, but you got to look that up. YouTube, gender reveal fail. I swear to Christ, you'll get a thrill out of it. Watching and wondering how we spawned on the same planet as these idiots.
When we there was recently another my mom is pregnant again, so we never done that before, but this time she's like, yeah, we have these little things we're gonna set off, and I was like, no. I knew about these beforehand. I was like, no, 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 no. So I went in the backyard and we had it was pretty much just like a kind of like a Roman candle almost in the shape, but you pull the stick and it pops out with like water soluble biodegradable paper that was like blue. So
Well, there you go.
I was like, no.
Well, no, you
But-
got to go watch the videos and see how to do it. You got to use a pound of black powder. Okay, first of all. Oh my God.
You gotta have
Gender
a car.
reveals.
You gotta have a car jump a ramp over it right when it happens.
There you go. There you
The car
go.
has to be
Yeah.
on fire.
Yeah. And if it's blue fire, it's a boy. If it's yellow fire, they're not sure yet.
Jesus, sounds like
Anyway.
you're picking popes.
Yeah. How are you going to figure out what color that smoke is when there's 57 genders?
Oh, no, it's not.
This is getting really confusing. Anyway, the best gender reveal party is the one that you joke about and don't do. Anyway, but that's okay. I won't look down on you if you have one. But just remember, you're really the only one there that cares. Anyway, anyway, what else? Anything else tonight that we want to talk about before we sign off? It's 10:07 here on the East Coast, 9:07 in Huntsville, Alabama, and we're going to be signing off here before too much
Colorado
longer.
Springs.
Well,
There you go.
I am going to be starting up. I've been trying to run a cable through the wall in our house for forever, and I just hadn't done it yet. So I've got the cable set up kind of temporarily, but I'm gonna make like a Broadcastify stream for 5.2 simplex because
cool.
the hams in my area have gone completely out of hand, and they're telling me, oh, we've been recording and archiving 5.2 simplex for the past 6 months. We have all the
Oh,
recordings and
Christ.
everything, and we've submitted to the FCC. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start my own stream. It's live all the time, just to put another kink in their chain, because they have just been so insufferable lately. They think I'm a criminal, but I'm not a criminal. I haven't broken
Did
any
all the
laws.
hams in Huntsville move in from California? Was it
They
good?
might have. They might
That was
have.
a lunatic.
I had a guy today told me I was not acting professionally.
I would have just told him this is not professional radio, dinghead.
I
That's
told
why
him,
they
I
call it
said,
amateur.
I said, is this
Yeah.
amateur radio? What law did I break? And then he was like, I asked him, I said, what law did I break? Please tell me what laws I broke. And then he just said, well, I'm just gonna sit here. He didn't respond. He just said, I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm just gonna be listening. That's what he said when I asked him what laws I broke. I
Well,
didn't
you
break-
said
Maybe
10-4,
there's
good buddy.
dung beetles of
That's,
smarter than humans.
Yeah, tell me about it. You said 10-4, good buddy, which in ham radio language is like taking the Lord's name in vain.
Yeah,
Uh,
really. It's like calling your mom ugly on the radio. It's the same
Yeah,
10-4.
something.
But yeah, they've gone completely. Just today I heard and said and talked to them, and they said some very ridiculous, absolutely crazy things. So I'm gonna start the Simplex archive and
And what you need to
stream.
do is tell them next time you hear them on there, say, hey guys, just so you know, I'm streaming this now. So the FCC can just listen in from DC. It makes it easier.
Yeah. Yep. Because I'm so sick. And plus now I have like an archive. So when something funny happens, I can go back and listen to it.
There you go.
Put everything together. Because these guys say some wacky stuff, man. I don't know what it
I
is.
use mine sometimes to go back and just listen to the announcements from the different clubs and stuff. I do use it.
Yeah, it's
Because
a nice
I don't
thing.
listen to all the nets. Yeah.
Yeah, having an archive, a live streamed archive is very useful for a lot of things. And I'm so bad about making Broadcastify streams that I don't keep going. I've made so many that I've ran for a few months and then let die. The longest one that I ever ran was back in Fort Myers. I ran a stream from the 775. I think I had the 775 and the 900 in Naples on there. I had a couple repeaters on there, but that was like the longest one I ever ran, because it takes like, you actually have to put some work into it. You set up a laptop, you have to set up a dedicated receiver and a dedicated antenna if you never want any interruptions.
Well, that's why when I did mine, I didn't set them up until I had everything that I didn't need that equipment for anything else. And I got 2 computers. They each do 2 Broadcastify feeds, and they're hooked up to a Chinese mobile that doesn't transmit anymore, 2 Baofengs, and an SDR Sharp. And the 2 computers and all 4 of the receivers and all are not used for anything else but just that function alone. So yeah, you're right. I mean, you just gotta plan it, set it up, and then you have to have equipment that can sit there and never be touched, basically, and just be up all the time.
Well, I'm gonna use my 8900. I'm just gonna have one of that has 2 receivers and transmitters, so it's gonna be on one side will be Broadcastify all the time, and then the other side I can use for whatever I want, and it won't interrupt the Broadcastify stream. So that's gonna be nice.
Your
That's
radio
easy.
puts out left and right channel.
Yes, the audio is separate.
See, I don't think mine does that.
Well, what
Maybe
you
it's a
do is
setting.
I'm going to use my signal link. So when you plug it in with a signal link, it puts out whatever side is set to the main. So you can swap sides and it'll put out whatever is
okay.
set to main. The signal link is actually a lot smarter. Well, the radio, I guess, is what you have to think, but it works with squelch and everything on the signal link on this radio, which is pretty nice. So I'm going to have that set up just going all the time. That way they can be like, oh, we're recording you. Hey, yeah, I'm recording me too. God.
And we're being broadcast around the world.
Yeah. So if you guys in the next few days, it has to be approved. You have to wait for the approval thing. But check in the Huntsville area for 146.520 simplex stream. I get on there when I'm at work. I always have my handheld on me, which is always scanning. And a lot of the time I'm on 5.2. And if I'm mobile, I'm definitely on 5.2 with the truck, ridiculous, huge antenna system. And then if I'm at home, I'm also going to be monitoring 5.2, which like 5.2 is probably my favorite frequency around here. So there should be plenty of activity.
It's virtually unused here.
I know, I was there and I had that thing monitoring all the time. And I talked to AA4JS on it like once.
I monitor it all the time. And there's 2 guys that talk on it early in the morning for about 10 minutes in the morning, and that's it. And I can only hear one of them. So that's all I ever hear on 5.2.
I got some info if you're interested on the repeaters. Well, I have it on good authority that the 147.225 machine may be back linked up as early as next week. The scuttlebutt is that it's ready to go now. They just have to wait for the holiday to be over for the guy to come in and say, yeah, it looks good. And then they can hook it up to the internet. So it'll be linked again soon, just like the old days.
Great.
And the other news was our DMR repeater has gone Brandmeister.
Uh-oh.
And they're going to have the DMR net the 2nd and 4th Thursdays. And the D-Star will be the 1st and 3rd Thursdays. I think I got that right.
You've got to get your radio programmed in.
Yep. Everybody's working on that right now. And eventually we are going to have our local net on the repeaters Brandmeister number, which, if you're interested, is 311261. And that's where we'll be for our meetings eventually, like by next month. So that's all good news for me.
Yeah, I've been listening to that 170. Is that what you're talking about? That new one that it's not new, but they moved it from Health Park to the top of that building.
No, that's old news now, man. I'm talking about the 147.225.
Yeah,
it used to be.
Yeah.
It used to be linked to all the other ones. The Lehigh.
And they moved it to the Cape Coral Hospital because the other site became unavailable for some reason. I forget why. But the problem was they didn't have any internet at the hospital. So that's about to be fixed.
Yep, they have already run out. Everything's ready to go except approval.
So the 220 repeaters moving?
No,
No.
no. Nobody's moving. Everybody's already moved. They're just going to, even in your newsletter, you show that you say where that it's the linking system is down temporarily.
Right.
It's going to be back up next week.
Oh, good.
All the repeaters that were on that should be relinked, including the 220 repeater.
Yeah.
And the Bonita and the Lehigh, and
Nice.
so that should
Nice.
be
That was
ready.
nice when it was working. The only problem is that there some of the repeaters don't put out a PL tone on the receive side, but that's
That's right.
fixable on our end. So
Oh, the one repeater that does, I'm told, is the 145.17.
mm,
And they did that so that because a lot of people don't like listening to the hash noise on their scanner when we use it for fusion.
yeah, that's why I've had to take that one out, that fusion one out of my scan, because every time I scan it, I constantly hear that noise and I just drives me nuts. I
Yeah.
cannot stand mixed use scanners. I think it's a bad idea, but that's just me.
Well, that's why I have 3 of them.
Now, I don't like mixed use scanners. I just I like to scan everything and I like to hear everything that's going on. And if it's a mixed use scanner, then it's always got that noise on it so often that I don't listen to it. I have this radio here on the 170 right now, but I leave it turned down most of the time. I don't know.
What
It is what it
scanners
is.
do you use?
But now that you said that the fusion signal that goes out does not actually broadcast a PL tone, but the voice does.
I'm not sure how it works. I'd have to ask Steve, W9 GPI, but
That would seem to make sense.
Well,
it either,
if it does, then maybe I can fix that on my end. That's what I'm thinking. I could
It's
put the
either-
receive PL on.
it either passes the tone or creates its own.
Yeah, it
Right.
probably creates a time. So you set your radio to receive only when the tone is present. And when
Right.
they're
Right.
doing- And when they're
So the-
doing C4 FM, it won't be present. So your radio will ignore. the
I
signal.
like that. That would take away most of my dislike for mixed use repeaters.
I haven't
Uh,
tested it out yet either myself, but I'm planning on it.
Yeah, well, I'm going to play with that now because I can go in and
Listen.
program that on this radio pretty easy. And I'll go in and I'll set up the same channel again later on, and I'll put the receive side PL on it and see what I hear.
Yeah.
All right, well, that'll work.
The unit in scanners will read the PL tone number.
Probably
Oh, that's cool.
136.5 anyway. You know what?
Hell, when I quit playing with scanners 15 years ago, they didn't do PL tones.
What are you using for Broadcastify?
I'm using one SDR RTL, two Baofangs, and one quad receive Chinese radio that no longer transmits.
Whatever works.
You know what? I find that those little cheap Baofangs, when you pin out on the side of them, I've got a little adapter that goes from the 1/8 plug down to the 1/4 plug,
Right.
and or 1/16 to 1/8. I forget what it is,
I know
but
what you meant.
it's because the audio out is actually the smaller one.
Right.
So I got a little adapter for that goes into the larger one. And then I go right into the computer sound card and you get really good sound that way. And then I just put up a basic 2-meter repeater antenna outside and wired it into a splitter into both of those radios, and it works perfect. And then I got another antenna on the other one, and I got it aimed up to Charlotte so I can get that one. And then the other one's on the P25 system from Lee County, and it works through an SDR. So, but that's how I got it all hooked up. I don't have any scanners. I have not a single scanner. Everything I have is a two-way radio, or it's a repurposed two-way radio, or it's a computer radio, an SDR. So,
One last question.
Yeah.
You where do you pick up your monitors from?
everywhere.
I need a cheap
Um,
one, man, or free.
Okay. Oh, well, I'll tell you what, go to, Habitat for Humanities where I normally get my monitors. I just went to the two in South Fort Myers and the one in North Fort Myers this last weekend. So there's nothing there really. If you're looking for TVs in the 25 to 40-inch range, they've got a bunch in North Fort Myers. As far as the monitors, I watch for them all the time. They did have about 6 or 7 of them at a thrift store down there. It's right next to Culver's down there near Crystal and 41. There's a big thrift store there. They have about 6 or 8 monitors in there. They're all $20 or less.
Means they're probably VGA then, right?
Yes, they're VGA.
I suppose that's okay.
Yeah, I mean they're SVGA. That's that works. There's I have bought, if you guys look, let me show you here. Let me switch the screens. You see all these, every single one of these. I have not bought a single one of these new.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the last time I bought them new. That TV was given to me. That TV was given to me. That TV was given to me. All 3 32 inches. All people that upgraded to larger TVs gave me these for free. The bottom 3 here are all 26 to 30-inch computer monitors. And all 3 of these monitors were purchased at thrift stores. This one up in Georgia, in Blairsville, and these 2 both at Habitat for Humanity. These 2 TVs over here, Habitat for Humanity bought them both about 3 weeks ago at the one in North Fort Myers. And all these small screens that you see all the way around up here, I've picked those up at all the different thrift stores, $5 or $10, $15 a piece. I have not a single monitor in here was paid for by me full price.
I think there's another place. What's the name of the road that goes to the beach? There's at St. Carlos Boulevard.
Yeah, there's
Carlos?
McGregor to St. Carlos
McGregor.
Boulevard. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the left.
There's a whole cluster of them right there. Right there, there's a shopping center right there on the left as you're going south on McGregor, and it turns into St. Carlos as you go around that corner. There's a big shopping center on the left. There's a Habitat and 2 other stores in there, a Goodwill and another one. Goodwills will have them, but you're going to spend $25 for them. I normally don't like to spend that much. So I normally don't go to Goodwills a lot because Goodwills have become very proprietary.
Goodwill. There's a Goodwill outlet right here in Del Prado.
Yeah. I mean, if it's close, I'd check it. You might find something that's $20 that's good. But every one of these is, I don't know. I've had great luck with them. This one up here went out last week. And I had a buddy call me. He's got a 50-inch TV for me to come pick up, and he's got a couple of computer monitors. So I'm hoping he's got one that'll fit in that hole. But all the rest of these work. Every single thing in here works. Matter of fact, I got 2 here that work. I don't even have computers hooked up to them yet. So anyway, I love getting things cheap.
Yeah.
I'm a cheap ass. I just love it. I don't make a whole lot of money as it is. And I'm also one of these people that I'm not going to work my ass off either. I mean, I'm going to do the things I want to do, and I'm going to work when I have to work. And I'm only going to work if I can find something I love to do. And that's kind of, I've always been lucky there, retired 17 years in the fire service. I loved what I did right up till the last day. And, I've always, and then I got into broadcasting, and I've done that for 11 years now. And I love broadcasting. And so I'm one of them kind of guys that I do what I love. And luckily enough of it pays me that I can keep the lights on. But it is what it is. So
Today's high rates.
yeah. Oh my God, the power bill. Our power bill, the last power bill for us was $560. Last year, that same power bill was $340. So in 1 year, our power bill's gone up by 60-something%.
Green raw deal.
Now, we're not going to discuss politics on here, and I don't want to get into it,
man.
but we all know what's going on. Anyway, by the way, FPL and co-op up 27% in 1 year. which doesn't make sense. I think it's more like 35, but they won't say it's that much. Anyway,
Why, they have
So
the
there you
list
go.
of the least expensive electricity in the country.
yeah.
I got my luck today. I happened to come across, I needed a second computer because my first one's like 12 years old, the one I'm using now. And I just happened to run across this in the Facebook Marketplace. It's a Dell. It's only an i3. It's not an i5 or 7, but it's got 8 gigabyte of RAM, DVD writer, all that stuff, and it works. And $60.
Oh, there you go. There you go. I was going to say I wouldn't spend a whole lot on that, but a couple $100 or less. Yeah. I mean, that's a decent deal, and it'll work for you. I got to tell you though, my entire life, I've never been happy with a computer ever.
Until you bought the one
Even
you
my
put
last
together.
laptop, $1,400 I spent on that laptop. One of the more expensive things I've ever bought in my life, if you don't count cars and houses. And look at it. It's a great laptop, but it never made me happy. It was always slow and sluggish and get glitchy. And but for under $1,000, I built this system behind me, and it is amazing. It's amazing. Once you get a computer that actually works like they're supposed to work, I don't know how you can ever go back. I now find myself in my bedroom at night using my laptop going, what is wrong with this thing? Nothing. It's just not that other computer out there. Oh man, I'll tell you, I am such an impatient person when it comes to computers. And then you add the broadcasting element. When you're doing broadcasting with 3 or 4 cameras like I do here, it's all about
Question for
processing
you,
power.
does that laptop have a solid state drive or an old mechanical?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a Samsung, it has a solid state drive. It's got an i5 processor, I think, or some shit in it. But it's a good computer. It had pretty good bus rates for a laptop. I mean, it's a good computer, but it was never going to make me happy. It was never going to make me happy. Now I got something that makes me happy every day. And I got 7 monitors hooked up to it, so I can do anything I want with it. And I got 4 cameras going in. I even have my security system plugged into it. I got my aircraft tracker up on it. And with every single thing that I've got plugged in and working and running, I can still do anything I want. I tried the other day, about a week and a half ago, I tried to tax this thing out to the max. And I had 10 videos playing in full high def at the same time. Each one full screened on a different screen. And then one screen I had set up as a quad screen. And I'm playing all of this. And then while I'm doing that, I'm running multiple speed tests with 2 different websites. While I got my aircraft tracker up, all my cameras plugged in, I'm making a composite video with Manny cams. I got everything running, everything hooked up, all my browsers open, and I'm running this thing, and I run it, and my PC is running at like 51%. And I'm like, I'll never max this out. I don't know what I would ever, I don't know.
Never say never.
I'm not downloading Brains yet, so I don't know what I could ever do to get.
You'll download some AI application that'll tap it out.
Yeah. Anyway, I think this thing's Skynet, but I'm not sure. Anyway, Skynet was the evil computer from the Terminator series, for those of you who aren't up on sci-fi pop culture. Anyway, does anybody have anything else they'd like to talk about tonight? All right. Well, neither do I. I guess that's about it. I'm going to be here the next 3 days working around the shack. If you guys what need to contact me for any reason, I'm here. Last week I've been kind of out of contact. I had some issues, some health issues with a family member. That's kind of resolved itself now. And as of this morning, things are returning to normal here. And I'm hoping to spend some time in the shack this weekend. So if there's anything going on, give me a call. I guess that's about it. There was one other thing I was going to tell you, but I can't remember what it was. Let me see. Let's look through here real quick. Oh, we can. There's. We talked about. You mentioned last night that there wasn't a lot of contesting this weekend, and there really isn't. It's kind of one of them weekends where there's a lot of contests, but there's no really good ones. I probably won't get involved in the Russian RTTY. I probably won't bother with that. But there is a couple, like there's the Colorado QSO party this weekend. I thought that might be something. And then there's I don't know what this is all about,
RSGB,
but it's in Europe. It focuses in Europe.
great. RSGB, Radio Society of Great Britain. So that's England.
Yeah, so I mean that might be a cool one if you're wanting to get some SSB to see. I got like 800 contacts on SSB, but they're almost all in the United States or Canada. So I'd really like to get a few more international contacts on SSB.
Try it on 20 meters. I'll bet you'd get it.
Yeah, so I mean, that might be something to try. Oh, but that's about it. There's really not a whole lot this weekend. There's the South African Field Day, if you want to do that. I got 2 awards left to get on QRZ, Master of Africa and Master of Oceania. And so I have my FT8 set to where anytime anybody in those 2 regions comes up, it alerts me. And so I've been slowly getting them, but I've still got a ways to go on both of those. All right, I guess that's about it. And there's that system we were just talking about.
Yeah, and it's the 147.225 that'll be back in there to complete it again.
Yep. So that's cool. All right. And that's pretty much all I have there. Oh, listen to me. It's time.
Bedtime.
Yeah, you heard it. All
Do
right.
I have any
Yes, sir.
audio? This is NS.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I just want to take a moment to introduce myself. I've been listening for a while. Name is Stephen, obviously, November Sierra 9 Golf, and I, for now, live in New Jersey. My wife and I just bought a place, back in October in St. James City on the southern tip of Pine Island.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
we'll be down there. We'll be down there next week on the 10th till the 17th. And I was actually curious whether or not there were any radio club meetings during that week between the 10th and the 17th.
I don't know. I don't do much with FMARC. They might have a meeting going
They meet
on.
the last Tuesday of the month. So they just met.
Yeah. Okay. Well, other than that, though, there's we have a lot of radio nets down here. A lot of radio nets. And even at St. James City, that new repeater they just put up, you could probably get that thing with a Bofang from St. James City. Because that's
Which
pretty
new
far
repeater?
south.
Oh, you talking
That
about
one
517? or what?
I keep calling it a new repeater. It's not new. It was moved to a new site, the 170.
517. Yeah,
And
that's
even out there, you should also get that Cape Coral one that we were talking about a little while ago too, which is linked. But yeah, we got lots of nets. Do you get the newsletter?
I haven't clicked on to get it, so no, not yet. I
Okay.
sent you an
If
email
you-
earlier. I don't know if you got it or not.
Okay, I'm sure I did. I'm sure I did. I haven't looked at my email in a couple hours, but you can go to our website, the technet.com, and just
there
go
it's
to or
in.
technet.net and just go to newsletters. And in our newsletter, the last couple of pages is all the radio nets for this whole area down
Okay.
here.
I will.
And
I
it's a
will do that.
lot of them. There's probably in 4 counties here, there's probably like 60 nets or something. It's crazy. But
amazing.
there's some good ones.
Than it did in Atlanta.
Are
I
there a lot
know,
of
but-
repeaters?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Lots of repeaters and lots of dead air.
That's what I
Um,
figured. A couple times I was down there, I always brought a radio with me, and I would just throw my call sign out there. And the few times I did get a reaction, it was somebody basically saying that the repeater was used for emergencies, and that was it.
Okay.
So, so they weren't. They
Okay.
He
We have
wasn't
no
into, like,
repeaters
you know,
down here that are reserved for emergencies.
wasn't
But
reserved.
we also
He
but-
didn't say
but we
reserved,
do
but
we
that's
do
it.
have We do have
Darn it.
some power folks down here, some radio Karens that like to boss people around on the radio. So that's probably all that was. But yeah, when I would love to, if we can talk sometime on the phone or something, I'd love to talk to you about all the repeaters down here and all the
That's
different
fine.
things there is to do. And yeah, absolutely. But yeah, on that, on any of our newsletters going back, but you'll see them all there. It's like the last 3 pages or whatever. I'll show it to you real quick. It shows all of the different repeaters that go on down here. I think that repeater clubs are so important. It's important to have meetings on the air. Here they are. Look at this. There is so many nets down here. This is every day. This is every day, and this is every night. But this one's up in Tampa. It's a little far away. But we got this one here, the Loggerhead net. I do every week. That's out on Sanibel.
Yeah,
From
I
where
bet.
you're at, you could hit this from your sitting on the chair in your living room with a Bowfang.
James
Yep.
City, yeah.
That'll be your best net right there. And the guy that
you're gonna
runs
hit
that,
100 milliwatts from St. James City.
yeah. And Alex runs a great net. Lots of fun stuff. We talk tech stuff on there too. And but that's the Sanibel net. That's a good one, the Loggerhead net. And then the windmill net, if you've got HF equipment,
I
the
will.
windmill net, yeah, that one's pretty cool. It's ground wave on 28 megahertz. See if we can get each other. And believe it or not, we do pretty good on there with our hex beams and stuff. And then let's see the next one, the newbie net. This is a good one. About 8 o'clock after they've got some club net or whatever before that, but about 8 o'clock, they come on with the newbie net, and that is a great net run by a great guy. And
Larry.
they do a lot of stuff on there. And then let's see.
Larry was in the
Huh?
room. Larry
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Yeah, Larry's great. I participate when I can on that newbie net. It's a long net. It goes on for like an hour and a half.
Oh, yeah. We talked
And it's just
talked to
great
Peter.
information. And then the next one down I would tell you about is the probably
gap.
Wednesday, the 220 $1.25 net. You can get to that from any of the connected repeaters, which is these 4 I showed you right here. And you can see you're not too far from that one in Cape Coral. So that might be
And that's from the old location, the circle.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
Now
further-
we're now on
it's
top of
actually
the Cape,
further south, I think.
we're in the Cape Coral Hospital on top.
Yeah. So it might actually be a little closer. And then the next one would be
220.
let's see, Wednesday, the 220 net. We call it the $1.25 net.
Yeah.
And that one is on all 4 of those repeaters. It's all linked. So
Oh,
Also,
okay.
if you don't have 220, you can still get on with 2 meters
and Echolink.
and Echolink. And I don't have Fusion. I don't do digital voice, but this is supposed to be this is one of the best nets we have according to everybody. So I'll let you know about that one. Bill Warren's great net controller on that one.
Yeah, it's a great.
I have
and
pretty much
then
no interest in that, but thank you.
yeah, I don't do the digital voice stuff, but a lot of people do. So we'll skip the DMR and D-Star.
Good
The
idea.
next one I would do, this is a good one here. The Cape Coral Gab Fest is a great one if you're wanting to test the range of your equipment. It's simplex, and we all call from all over the county and see if we can get each other. It's pretty cool. Great net. Both John and Charles are both on that one.
1,700 feet high above the.
That's right. And
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I had my mic on. Sorry about that.
no, that's okay. And let's see, the next one is our WatchNet, which
you
is on
skip-
after that simplex.
You skipped over a good one, the digital practice net with FL Digi and SSTV. That's
Yeah,
pretty
that
cool.
is a good one. I actually do that one sometimes. If you do that one, you need to have, they do FL Digi and SSTV.
Yeah, we
and
do
they'll
the
s-
same.
Yeah.
And we,
So,
every Tuesday, we have a net that's called the DEN, the digital education net for newbies.
There you go. And I shouldn't have skipped that one because that is not a good skip. That was a good one. And I do this one. The problem is this one and this one go on at the same time, and then the one
Oh,
I do happens right
That's the
after.
catch.
That's kind of the catch there on that one. And I really like this Simplex Net. I've actually, a lot of times when I listen to the Simplex Net, I'll have one of my other radios on the digital net and I'll just be picking up their SSTV pictures. I don't know. I love SSTV.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah, I got this little thing with that. But anyway, and then Friday night, of course, we got this TechNet. But those are the main ones. There's a lot of nets. Yeah, there's a lot of nets down here. And they're pretty good ones too. We've got some different kinds of clubs down here. We got big clubs that don't do a whole lot and little clubs that don't do a whole lot, and kind of the usual thing like they got in every town.
No, but I'll tell you, the
let's
clubs
see.
around here, there's a lot of people getting involved with a lot of stuff with POTA and Summits
Yeah.
in the Air and all this kind of stuff.
Field day. That's big.
Yeah.
Winter field.
Yeah, I can't wait to get a group together. I want to do my own group for field day. I've already got some locations where I can get us in. And I want to do a field day, but I need to get 4 or 5 people that want to do it with me.
And we had a pretty good field day this year.
Yeah, it's difficult to I like doing it from the shack too, and they don't really like that, but it is what it is. I like doing it from the shack. I like to just relax and do it, but I also like to go out for field day. I've done that twice, but I don't know. Every team does it different, and I don't know. I want to do it different. I want to do it seriously. I want to take it serious and hit it hard. I want to put together. I eventually would love to put together a competition team. It's something I'd love to do, but I don't know if I'll ever be able to do it because I got to find crazy people like me. They want to do stuff like that. But anyway, back to you, Stephen. When you come down, get with me. We'll talk on the phone. I'll give you some stuff. What's going on down here? Different things.
Sounds good.
And there's
I will
other
do that.
guys. Rick in here is Rick and Chris are both members of FMARC, which is the big club in town.
Okay.
It's a decent club if you want to get involved with them. They do a lot of stuff. They do POTA. They meet regularly. They have an Aries group associated with them and stuff. So there's all kinds of groups. There's a group in Collier. There's a group in Charlotte. I've started a little group that I'm putting together. There's all kinds of different stuff to do down here.
I have a question. How long
but
have you guys been hams?
I've been a ham 2 years.
Okay.
Since the
Rick,
late-
Chris, late 80s. Rick,
Yeah.
Yeah, I started back in 1975.
Wow.
there you go.
I started 2019. I was 62 years old. I knew nothing about it up until that point.
Yeah.
Nothing.
got
I
you
mean, I knew it
into it?
existed, but I knew nothing about it.
What got you into it?
Pardon me?
What ended up getting you into it?
I went to a flea market in close to here, and there was a guy that sold returned Amazon stuff. Anything. It could be any kind of thing you could order from Amazon. And there happened to be 2 walkie-talkies there, brand new in a box. I asked how much he wanted
wow.
for them. He said $10 a piece. So I figured, I'm like, if I'm down in my shop, my wife would call me on the walkie-talkie. Well, it turns out they were UV5Rs, ham radios that you need a license for. So I started
Right.
watching YouTube videos, and I got an app on my phone for practicing, studying. And in July of 2019, probably in May is when I got the radios, or March maybe, or April, somewhere in there.
Right.
And July, I took my first test, and that was, the rest is, as they say, history.
Nice.
It's like
Nice.
I regret not having found out about it earlier, so I would have more years to enjoy it.
Well, I have a similar story. I was in emergency I'm retired from the fire service, and I was in emergency management for years. And in emergency management, we did a lot with ham radio. We worked with the ham guys all the time. Matter of fact, we used to call them hamsters. They were like, it was a big thing back then, and they were great guys. And I always wanted to be one. And Yeah, there we go. And so I always wanted to do it, and I couldn't pass the CW. I tried 5 times. I took 5 tests at the EOC, all 5 of them in the same room, in the same chair, and I never could do the CW. I couldn't do it. I could send it, but I couldn't receive it. So it ended up being that I gave it up and ended up doing other things in radio and becoming a radio broadcaster. I actually produced the afternoon show on 92.5 Fox News here in town. And
cool.
so I got into terrestrial radio, and I do a lot of stuff with terrestrial radio, and I have clients, and that's how I make my money in radio. But then somebody told me, one day my son-in-law came home with this Baofeng, and he wanted me to program it for him because he didn't know how to do it. And that one thing led to another. And I realized there was no CW test anymore for ham radio. And 2 weeks later, I had my license.
What year was it when you couldn't pass the CQ? The CW test? What year was that?
20 years ago. It was
really? Okay.
95 through 97.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And I had no idea. They dropped it like 15 or 20 years ago, but I had no idea. Nobody ever told me. I didn't know anybody in ham radio. Nobody ever told me. Why would I go back every year and see? I had no idea that they would change it. So I lost out of many years being able to do this. And now I love it. I'm in it. And I love what I do. And I started this TechNet because when I started in ham radio here, it wasn't that inviting, really. I don't know. The hams here are very stuck in their ways. They don't like new ideas. They're just, I wanted to be an active member in the club, and you gotta do your 3 years of being a nothing before you're allowed to do anything in the club. And that's one of the things. I just decided to do my own thing. But that's the neat thing about ham radio is you can do your own thing. You don't have to do anything. You can do your own thing. You can do what you want, where you want to do it, how you want to do it, with who you want to do it with. That's what I like about ham radio.
What percentage of the hams in that area are transplants from elsewhere, not native Floridians?
99%.
80.
Yeah, I don't mean to sound crazy. I would say it's higher than 80. Right now, I'm one of the only original Floridians that I know of. Yeah, I mean, there's not Rick, there's you and I, there's not many of us here. I'm a 5th generation Floridian. My great grandfather moved here and lived here before air conditioning was invented. I can't for the life of me understand why, but anyway, yeah, so there's a lot of us, but what you find down here is no one's from here. There's very, very, very few people.
That's
that are
like,
a lot
that's
of them.
how Atlanta was too.
A lot of them
all
are
the people from here live in the Georgia mountains right now.
Yeah.
A lot of the people there are from Maine, Maryland, California, New York. A lot of people
In the
from Maryland.
90s, it was funny because in the 90s, all of our people that were moving here, both temporary, vacationing, living here half the year, and moving here permanently, were all coming from Michigan and Ohio and the Midwest. It was all Midwest. And then it was weird because 2000 rolls around and all of a sudden we're seeing New York tags everywhere. Well, what it was the East Coast got crappy, so they all started coming over here. It's very different. The two coasts are very different down here. This is a much more laid back coast on this side. That side's, that's Miami, West Palm, Daytona Beach, Jacksonville, that's all the big cities, and St. Augustine and all. Over on this coast, it's just pretty much, other than Tampa, everything on this side's mostly retired folks living as close to the water as they can afford to live. And and so now we've got everybody from the Northeast and the Midwest moving to Southwest Florida. And an interesting thing happened. People thought, oh my God, all these people from the Northeast, that because a lot of those Northeast states are heavy, and I'm not going to get into politics too much, so don't think I am, but a lot of the people in the Northeast are staunchly left. They're leftists. They're Democrats.
All right, I won't get into politics.
No, we're not getting into. I won't. I swear to God, I'm not even going to tell you which side I'm on, but you could probably figure it out. But the people were moving down here, and everybody down here was worried. My dad he passed away now, but my dad used to talk about this. They're all going to move down here, and they're going to turn us blue, and we're no longer going to be this conservative, this wonderful conservative place anymore. And
Which leads me to my question. Sorry to interrupt, but it leads me to a question. Does that mean, should I then infer that, not necessarily with you or anybody else on this net, that there might be some resentment of the people that come from the Northeast?
Not really. No,
No?
not at all.
There's
No.
only resentment for the traffic.
Well,
Yeah, I mean,
get that.
trust me, none of us are happy with the roads. Our government, like the government everywhere in this country, has done a crappy job keeping up with the amount of traffic that our roads need to pass. Down here, we're more interested in pretty medians than enough lanes. But you know, there's always going to be those kind of issues. But anyway, to finish what I was saying, what we realized was all these people moving down here, they're not moving down here with their left values. They're moving down here to get away from it. And they're people that have moved to the right, and they're moving down here to be around people that are more on the right. And so what it's turned out to be is we've gotten more red over the years. And Florida has become staunchly Republican down here now. And not even that, more conservative, libertarian even. Of course, now we got the governor and then the whole bit. We got the whole package to go now. But people like it in Florida. I love Florida. I love living here. I hate the weather. It's the shittiest weather ever. It's hot every single day. The humidity's terrible. And then right after the heat stops, the lightning starts. But other than the shitty weather down here, I love Florida. I've lived here my whole life. Like I said, I'm 5th generation, and I love it here because I love the politics here. I love the people here, and I have no problem with people from up north. As a matter of fact, we understand down here that you people worked very hard up north, and then you come down here and spend your retirement down here. That helps all of us, and we understand that. Trust me, there's no illusions here. We get it. We work hard. You guys worked hard, and the money's spent here, and it works well. And people move here because this is one of the cheapest states to live in. No income tax, very low sales tax and other taxes, and people like living here. So I think it's great. You know, we picked up a congressional seat this last time around.
That's right.
And Texas picked up one, and New York lost one, and California lost one. So that shows you where people are moving. We've got a huge flux of people down here. As a matter of fact, our people are moving here so fast that every time they start looking again at how many more people have moved down, and the numbers are just going up and up and up. The percentages of people per month, it's just going up and up and up. And we're at the point now where we had a real estate woman on our show today talking about the fact that there's hardly anything left to buy down here, that they're building them as fast as they can build them. We got houses sitting half done all over Cape Coral. I'm talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of standard 3-2 rancher homes sitting all over Cape Coral, half done, because we don't have enough workers and we can't get enough equipment and we can't get enough trusses and enough nails and whatever we need to build these houses. It's crazy right now.
Yeah.
Because people are moving here so rapidly that we cannot build the houses fast enough. We're probably the only place in the world right now that's building multiple shopping centers in every town. Most places, the shopping centers are sitting in ruin. Not here. Now, we've got a few that are sitting in ruin, but there's reasons for that. Most of our areas like South Fort Myers, North Naples, places like this, they're going so fast. They're building more shopping centers at a time when places are going out of business because people are all shopping online now and things like that. It's crazy what's going on down here right now. We've always been this state where thousands of people are constant every day. 10,000 new people move to Florida. That's been accelerated faster than it's ever happened before. And it's crazy. And you know what it's attributed to? We're doing pretty good down here.
Yeah,
we do. We don't have a bunch of extra laws. We don't have a bunch of bullshit. We don't have a bunch of extra taxes. You come down, you see what you see is what you get.
No income tax.
There's no income tax. And the crime rates are acceptable, except in a few of our big cities. The crime rates are acceptable down here. Our crime rates are low here.
Stay
And
out
our
of
murder
Miami.
rates are low. Well, yeah, you got you get near Tampa, Miami, Jacksonville, you're going to run into problems. But you stay away from those few cities, and it's great down here. Overall, Florida's crime rates doing great. It's doing really good. And as far as the freedom scale, we're one of the freest states in the union as far as your ability to do what you want to do with your life. So I love it down here. I'm glad you're coming down. I would like, I hope you move down here permanently. We'd love to have
I
you.
will be. I mean, we did buy the house. We're working on getting this one ready to be listed. We have a ways to go yet. We just had a 20-yard dumpster in a driveway for 3 weeks, getting rid of a bunch of stuff.
There you go.
Picked up a couple days ago. So it, I just turned 65 and it's time. I just started Medicare, and
Yeah.
it's getting near time. And I could get some of the same work down in Florida with the same company. So
There you
that
go.
worked
Well,
out.
that makes it better. Yeah, absolutely. If you can keep an income stream going, that's even better. But yeah, because God, nothing's cheap. All of our stuff, our gas, our groceries, everything's gone up just like yours has.
Oh yeah.
None of that changes.
It's
Oh,
nothing
my
to
Lord.
spend $80 in the grocery.
Do you
store.
remember when $200 would heap a cart? I mean, underneath it with cat food stacked underneath, heaping on top. My wife and I went to the grocery store a couple of weeks ago, and we literally had the cart about half full and one bag of food underneath, and it was like $300 or something. I told my wife, I said, this eating shit's overrated. We're not going to be able to do this much longer. It's becoming a luxury. And we don't need expense. There was no steaks in that buggy. Anyway, or cart, shopping cart.
Buggy,
I was corrected the other
the
day.
trolley.
I was corrected the other day. If you're in England, it's a trolley. If you're in the
trolley.
Southeast, it's a buggy. And if you're in the Northeast, it's a cart. So
Get it
excuse the hell out of
right.
me.
Where are they? Buggies? Who calls them buggies?
We
British
call them
people.
buggies. They're buggies.
Okay.
No, we don't.
That's a southern. And when I say we, I mean me and the other 9 people that are still here from Florida.
Yeah.
All 9 of us call them buggies.
Buggies. Oh,
I never heard that.
And then there's
shopping
the difference in
buggy.
sandwiches too. I mean,
Is
you got
there?
a sub or a hero or a gyro. Depends on.
Yeah, what's up with that? Well, nobody down here even knows how to pronounce gyro. So
It's gyro, and it's. I mean,
it's
that's definitely different.
see, there
from
you
the
go. Everybody says that one differently. Yeah.
I mean, I've heard it.
We don't have
pronounced
we don't
ways.
have heroes down here. I mean, other than maybe a few firemen from time to time, we don't have any heroes down
Yeah, we
here.
call them subs or
Um,
hoagies.
Yeah,
Hoagies.
subs, hoagies. No. When I was young, there was hoagies. They were more of an American sandwich, ham, cheese, mayonnaise type of
I
thing.
would imagine
on
Wawa
bread.
still calls them hoagies.
Yeah, probably. I'll tell you, I love me some Wawa. I love me some Wawa. We didn't have
There-
Wawas till like
There are
5 years
so
ago.
many around here. You could go 2 blocks and have passed 3 of them. And I'm really not exaggerating. There are some areas that have so many Wawas, it gets sickening after a while. Except
I
when
like
you're
their
looking for
food.
one, then it's very convenient.
Their
They
gas
do
is
have one thing I
comparable.
like, and it's alcohol-free gas. That's what I use in my generator. It's more
Yeah.
expensive, but it won't gum up your generator.
Right.
Well, and the only reason it's more expensive, and the truth is, it's not more expensive. It's just the government's not subsidizing the small amount of ethanol that's put in there.
Yeah.
See, when the government subsidizes 40% of that 20% of that ethanol.
Yeah.
And that's where that extra 40 cents comes in. Now it's all in there. Ethanol by itself would never be able to work. That's why private industries never picked up on ethanol. It's actually starting to go into a decline now because
I heard
ethanol
that.
was never, I hate to say it. People had the right intentions with ethanol. I understand what they were trying to do.
You know what? They're
But-
paving with those right intentions,
I know the road to hell, but
as usual.
But I always say, you know, people's heart was in the right place, even though they didn't really do the right thing. And unfortunately, that's kind of what happened. Electric cars is another example. I'm not down on electric cars, but we've proven that they're not going to work, but yet we still keep pounding and pounding and pounding and pounding. These cars, the batteries, when they go bad, you can't get another one. You can't recycle them. There's so much money. Well, I can get an electric car for the same price as a regular gas-powered car. Yeah, because my tax money's picking up $7,800 of that price.
Not only that, you can't go but a little over 100 miles in the thing without having to stop and charge.
Oh, but it goes they told me it goes 300 miles. Well, that's because the government requires all vehicles to be able to go 300 miles on one tank of gas. But they had to fudge that standard when it came to electric cars. Most electric cars get about 250. That's if you're not using any electrical equipment, including the air conditioning.
And the ham radios.
Yeah. And the ham radio. I'll be honest with you. I think hybrids, I think there's something with hybrids. Not a bad idea. We're converting energy using a very efficient method, gasoline, and we're moving that into a very efficient method of propelling the car, electric. We're taking the best of both worlds. I think hybrid has a future, because hybrid, if you're stuck up on the interstate in a blizzard, you're not going to freeze to death. Okay. We've had these situations where people have to get out of their get out of their electric car and go get into a gas car so they don't freeze to death. But the biggest problem I have with electric cars, and I'll be honest with you, I don't care if you think there's global warming or not. We can cross that bridge some other time. I'm all for doing cleaner things. But the problem with electric cars is you're not doing cleaner things. 80% of the fuel made in Florida is fossil fuel.
That's right.
And then a lot of the rest of it is nuclear. So if you really went out now, if you add California and the other states, you get closer to 60, 20, 20. But in Florida, it's more like 80, 12, 8. 8 maybe with that last little bit is electric that's made by solar panels or by wind. We have a real problem here in Florida. Wind doesn't work in Florida. I don't know if you guys know this or not. We don't have strong winds here. For those of you who don't live here, we don't have strong winds here. We don't have daily winds here. Yeah, you can go a week here and not generate any power with a windmill. There's no windmill farms in Florida, not one that I know of. And that's because they don't work here. Okay. Solar works here. Solar's not economical yet. We're getting close. If you put it on your roof, you provide additional cooling to your house. We start to get pretty close to something that's worth it. But then the electric companies took you out at the knees. People went out and put all this money into these solar systems to go on their roof. And the power company turns around and says, we're only going to pay you 40 cents on the dollar for selling power back to the power company. How is that? How is that? I understand it can't be 100 for 100 because they pay for the transmission lines. They pay for the systems and the service provider, the people that fix the lines. I understand all that. I get it. Okay. So it can't be 100 by 100, but I should get paid 75% for my power, not 40% for my power. And
here's another gotcha. If your electric power goes out, your solar goes out too.
Yes, that's another problem I have. You have to spend a lot of extra money to get a standalone solar system.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't
batteries and all that.
I don't understand that. Yeah. So there's a couple guys on our nets that have gotten these systems, and everything from roofs leaking to not sustaining like they thought it would. The buyback went from 60% to 40%. When you start adding all this up, you're not going to sell me on this, because the problem they're having is after 3 to 5 years, the panels start to go bad one by one.
Yeah.
You're never going to catch up to zero. You're chasing zero the entire time. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Yeah. Electric cars are the same way. You're chasing zero the entire time. You're buying a car that's already a few thousand more than a gas car I bought, but now you're getting $7,800 in tax credits that come out of my money. So I'm paying for those tax credits that help pay for the rest of your car. Well, you take that, now you've spent all this extra money plus all this extra of my money on this car that won't go as far, won't go as fast, and won't go as efficient because you have to find charging locations everywhere you go, and they're not there yet.
Not there.
California, biggest thing happened this week. California came out. They've outlawed the construction of new gas stations after 2024. A week later, they issue an order for people to stop charging their electric cars for a while because they don't have enough power on the grid and they're doing rolling blackouts. And they only want you to charge your car in the wee hours of the morning. Now, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that these people are not geniuses, okay? Why would you
goes to the French
force? They're at the French Laundry. They're forcing people to buy electric cars. They're basically telling you that in 10 years, you're not going to find a gas station open anymore because as they burn down, break down, get old, we're not going to allow them to be replaced. Okay. We're not going to allow new gas stations near new populated areas. So they're going to force you to get an electric car. That's what they're going to force you to do out in California, in a state that's so far behind the needs of their power grid that at this point, they will probably never catch up. Okay.
Everybody will move out.
Well, that's what's happening. Do you know right now, if you were to rent a U-Haul in California going to Texas, okay, it's $6,000. You want to rent a U-Haul in Texas going to LA, $300.
They'll give
And
it to you
that's
for free.
because they need to reposition these trucks because everybody's moving from LA to Texas, from California to Texas. And the same thing's happening from the Northeast down to Florida. We have
And
so
the
many U-Haul
Northwest.
trucks down here. Everywhere. There's so many U-Haul trucks down here. They've got them parked along the sides of the road. And they're hiring people to come fly them down. They're flying people down to get a U-Haul truck and drive it back to California. They're towing them. The smaller ones, they're literally towing them 2 and 3 at a time on big trucks to get them around the country. It's crazy right now
Yeah.
because people are moving
Out.
to places where things are working better. And that's why this brings me to my final point of the night, and I need to let it go because I don't want to get too political.
Here we go.
The next civil war is being fought right now. And the next civil war is being fought with U-Haul trucks. People are going to move to the state that they want to live in. And that's how the next civil war is going to be fought. The last one, we said, we're drawing a line, Mason-Dixon, this and that. The next civil war is going to be totally different. It's going on right now. People that have a liberal socialist ideology are going to go and move to places like Oregon and Washington State and New York and California and New Jersey and places where they have that ideology, places where they got abortion kiosks in the mall, places where taxes are so high, but yet everything's free. It's great. If you like that sort of thing, great, move there. Okay. If you like to live in a place where there's lower taxes, but yet we're not stuck on all the government assistance. If you want to live someplace where we're libertarian with our laws, we're not making laws every hour of every day, you would move to that state. Okay. If you want to live in a state where maybe they got the best laws for horses, you're going to move to that state. If you want to start a business, you want to start a restaurant, you may choose to move to the state that you think is going to be best to start that restaurant. But regardless of why you're moving, people have decided for the first time in this country that living the way I want to live is worth moving. And they're doing it. And they're doing it in record numbers right now. Record numbers all over the country. And they're all blue states, they're red states.
And with that, I will say good night. It's time for me to go.
There
to
you
bed.
go. Yep, for me too, guys. Does anybody else have anything before I let you go?
Can't think of anything else.
Cool. Well,
Good luck,
to
Justin, with
finish
your
to
repeater.
finish my speech, no matter what party you're in, no matter what side you're on, you're welcome here in Florida. We love you, and you're always welcome here. And we do politically get along well down here. I will say that. Not as bad as some other places.
Bring cash.
Yeah, bring cash, but we do take credit cards as well. And I guess that's about it. Does anybody have anything else or any other announcements they'd like to make or anything else they'd like to say before we let her go for tonight?
How much of a pain would it be for you to check your email?
Oh, I could probably check that real quick. Let me take a look here.
So I can witness the reaction.
Stephen, nice to meet you. I'm going to go to bed.
You too.
Okay, Chris.
All right, man.
All right.
We'll see you
Sure.
next week, Chris. Have a good one.
All right. Bye.
You don't have to read it aloud. It's up to you.
Oh, is it the one about the typo on my page?
Yeah.
Oh, there's more than that. There's probably 6 or 8 of them on there.
That's the one I saw.
I'm having trouble connecting to the
Oh,
internet.
shut up.
It looks like a router issue.
Oh, that's on
So
your
try
end.
restarting it. Unplug the router. Wait 10 seconds. Then plug
That's
it
not
back
me.
in.
Wonder,
Hey, Siri, shut your face.
Yeah.
it's
Shut
Alexa.
up, Alexa.
Sorry, I'm having
No,
trouble
mine's not
connecting to the
connected, so it
internet.
wasn't mine.
It looks like a router issue. So try
Oh, actually,
Hey,
it-
Alexa,
it-
shut
that is
up.
mine.
Unplug the
I
router.
take that back. It
Wait
is
10
mine right now.
seconds, Then plug it back in.
Oh, shut up. How dare you?
Hey, Alexa, buy 10 bags of dog
I'm
food.
having trouble
Oh,
connecting
I'm
to
gonna
the
shut it
internet.
off is what I want to
It
do.
looks like a router
This
issue.
is the kind you can
Try
turn
restarting
it
it.
down, like the.
Unplug the
Oh,
router.
okay.
Wait 10 seconds.
What
That's funny.
set
Plug it
her
back
on?
in.
I'm gonna
We
to
have
turn
one
it
of
off.
those. We have one of those at work that we only plug in when we want to make fun of it.
All right, let me turn this
And
off.
we literally used to ask it questions on the show live, and it's hilarious because it's so biased. I'll just leave it there. You can imagine. Ask Siri, who is Donald Trump,
I'm having
and then
trouble
when it's
connecting
done,
to the internet.
stop and ask
Take a
Siri,
look at the help
who
section
is
in
Joe
Alexa.
Biden, and compare the answers you get and see what you think. All right,
I'm gonna unplug this.
we'll leave it there.
I just unplugged it. Now she can shut up.
That's if she wants to talk, that's fine. We don't censor speech here. If she wants to talk, she's welcome
No,
to.
she's not allowed. I just stopped.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes
all
we'll be
right.
watching
You
television,
need
all
to
of a sudden-
put that thing in the cage with the parrot.
There you go.
sometimes we'll be sitting there watching television. All of a sudden she starts talking about something. I'll say, "What are you talking about?" Of course, she doesn't answer because I didn't give her name, but it's just annoying sometimes. Anyway, yeah, I got to get going. So I got things I got to do before I go to bed.
Stupid robot.
Yep, I'm going to. You guys, everybody have a good night out there. If there's any last minute things, tell me now.
Yep.
No? All right, very good. Everybody have a great one out there. And like I said, I'll be hanging around the next 3 days around the shack. So give me a call. Hopefully we'll hear you Sunday night on the nets. And everybody have a good one out there. I'll catch you later. 7 3s.
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
Sunday night I should do one of the nets. I think I'll do that.
Sounds-
Hopefully we'll
That
have
Gab
time.
Fest on
Get it done.
Sanibel. That
Pardon me?
Gab Fest
Yeah.
on the Gab Fest on Sanibel, it's going to be your closest tower with a repeater on it.
Right, and I don't know that
St.
I'll have my
James City.
digital stuff
Yeah.
with me anyway. So
Well, that's analog. That's a
No, I
2
mean,
meter
I-
analog.
I'm talking about
Yeah.
the competitor, I guess, for the net. It would be the digital one with the FL Digi and the slow scan TV. I won't have my digital stuff anyway, so I won't have to worry about not being able to do the Sanibel one.
Yeah. Well, the
If I had the stuff
Sanibel
with
one's
me, I'd
on
probably do the digital one.
the Sanibel one's on Sunday night. The digital one is opposite the Simplex net on Thursday night.
Oh, okay,
But-
I had it wrong. All right,
but
gotcha.
I'll tell you what, yeah, if you just on our website, just click newsletter and it's all right there in the newsletters.
I will do that.
Yeah, but like I said, feel free to call me, send me an email. I'm very responsive, and
Okay, I'll
and
do that.
yeah. All right, guys, everybody have a good one out there. This is the Southwest Florida TechNet. And we've been broadcasting live on YouTube around the world and using the Zoom platform. And I'd like to thank everybody that participated tonight on our ham radio TechNet, and thank everybody that came in. It's been a fun night out there, and we're going to do it again next week, so don't miss that. This is the Southwest Florida TechNet. My name's Ian, KO4EFS. My co-host is Joseph, KM4OBZ. We're going to see you next week. Everyone have a great holiday weekend, and remember what the holiday's all about. All right. And
right.
have a good one. 7-3.